Lance, we are back for another one. And yes, I'm doing this slightly different than what I usually do because I am so very, I don't know, self-conscious about the fact that I start every single one of these the exact same way because I just become a robot at some point. So that's why I decided to do this very unofficial opening. So I'm Tyler Nichols, and how are you doing, Lance Velchik, my co-host?
I'm Lance Velchik, co-host. Yes, doing good, man. Doing good. Living life, enjoying the time I have here, man. Ready to talk part 8, actually.
Yes, same here. And I need to state right from the jump that yes, I am a massive hypocrite. I talked all this shit about New Blood, and I'm sure much of my criticism could be applied to Jason Takes Manhattan, yet I'm still going to be praising this and having a blast the whole time because this is a movie that I don't know, got a lot of enjoyment out of over the last 5 years or so. I would say that this, number 5, and maybe the remake are my most rewatched of all of the Friday the 13th, maybe part 2 as well. But oddly, 8 has been my most rewatched in the last year. I have seen this movie at least 4 times in the last 12 months.
Well, I don't know what to say. I came to this like expecting to fight. I wasn't really looking forward to this. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be one of those where Tyler's gonna be like, I don't like the characters. Like, yeah, but it's fun. After your hatred of Lar Park Lincoln, I was like, man, I don't know where he's gonna go with this. But that makes me happy because this has always been one of my most rewatched entries. Anytime there's a Friday the 13th, there's always a couple a year or one a year. I don't know the math. I'm not a math guy here. I always do like a little bit of a roulette on what I'm going to watch, but a lot of the times, it's like the same 5. Sometimes I'll venture out, and this is always usually one of my go-tos because I think it's just so easy to watch. It's very comfortable. It's very goofy. So, okay, good. I feel a little more at ease right now.
Well, good. I'm glad because this is a film that I definitely used to hate. And I think a lot of that is that, yeah, I had the same expectations of New York being prominent that so many people had. But I love all of the boat stuff and think that it is a great setting for a slasher. But I also want to point out that people need to stop blaming Rob Hedden for this movie. It's the producers who did not want to set it in New York due to expense. He did the best with the circumstances that he was given. His original script had, Julius boxing in Madison Square Garden and Statue of Liberty and all of this stuff that it's not his fault that they cut it. So I dislike all of the hate that Hedden had been getting over the years, especially because I was a big forum goer in my youth, especially during my teens, and I feel like his name was always brought up. Him and Danny Steinman were always in the Adam Marcus crowd, and I don't agree with that. I don't think that they should be on that level.
No, because as something in terms of Jason Goes to Hell, that was a planned and purposeful sort of switcheroo where and I'm sure we're going off the same information in the Crystal Lake Documentaries Blu-ray documentary thing. He clearly states, he goes, no, I wrote this script. And then they kept getting cheaper. Oh, cut that, cheaper, cut that, cheaper, cut that. And then, we'll do, yeah, I'm going to make up an equation. It's going to be, 40% boat, 50% New York, and then eventually came like, okay, how about this? It's an 80% boat, and then 20% New York, and 10% New York has to be like in a back alley that's actually like Toronto. So it's not his fault at all. And I think his attitude towards it is very positive, like more of like, hey, it is what it is. I did what I could and had the time of my life doing it. I really appreciate that because I think you could either get really, really grumpy with it, or you could be like the kind of person that pretends it was always going to be great and it's always this, like he has enough expectation. Like, listen, it's not the movie I wanted to make, but with the circumstances of everything involved, this is what I could do, as opposed to it's brilliant and you guys are wrong, or I hate it, I can't watch myself. Those are the two extremes that I really don't like with directors. So I think he took the correct approach. Like the life in the big city. What are you going to do?
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. So let's get into Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. This released in 1989. This was directed by Rob Hedden and written by Rob Hedden, and it is starring Jensen Daggett, Kane Hodder in his second appearance, Tiffany Paulson, Barbara Bingham, Peter Mark Richmond, who is the best character in the entire movie. That would be the Uncle Charles, who I absolutely love.
How do you say his last name?
McCulloch.
Okay, I haven't said that incorrectly. Yes. And it's funny because I always think of him from this movie, but I'm like, no, there's something else that I love this guy from that I always forget because he's too big for just one movie. And I realized he's in one of the greatest sequels of all time. And that's where I think I know him just as well, which is, of course, Naked Gun Part 2.
Oh, he is. Good call. Yeah, even looking at his filmography, that's one of the only things that I recognize.
And it's pretty close to when this came out, I believe, only a couple years later, because he looks the exact same, which is why I think I always kind of put him together. Because he was in a Dynasty, which I didn't grow up on. He played old Spider-Man in my old 90s Spider-Man cartoon series, which is classic. But he's done well in Naked Gun 2, so.
Oh my God. That was my show as a kid, that and Batman.
Hell yeah, me too.
I was absolutely obsessed. And you saying that, I can both picture the animation of the old Peter Parker, but I can picture how that guy says it. And yes, that is totally his voice. Holy
Absolutely.
Crap. Yeah. I never realized.
Yeah, dude.
Incredible.
90s Spider-Man cartoon was my shit. Agreed. And it was Batman. But I feel we've all agreed that Batman's amazing. Spider-Man 90s cartoon is the one thing where I'm like, okay, but we also need to agree that was just as good in its own way. On the counter argument of 90s superhero cartoons.
I mean, I would put Batman above. I'm more of a Spider-Man guy, but the Spider-Man was definitely more directed towards kids with the whole he's not allowed to punch anybody.
Oh, it had to work
guideline.
around. Yes. No, I mean, 90s Batman cartoon is the peak of what cartoons were. Of course, it was dark,
so violent,
mixed, and just moody. But I'm saying that let's not forget Spider-Man and X-Men 90s cartoons. I think rounded out that sort of peak childhood of ours is really what I'm trying to say.
Agreed. And we even have X-Men 97 being brought back. Thank God.
But we'll see. I'm more negative on anything returning because I've been, pardon my French,
too many times.
Yeah, I've been fucked in the ass way too many times when it comes to things coming back and being good. I've only seen two things come back and be good, and that was Ash vs. Evil Dead and Twin Peaks Return. Everything else has been an utter disappointment.
Yeah, there's been a lot of very disappointing legacy sequels, so I don't blame you for that mindset.
Life is time and place, and as you get older, you realize that's most important. But 1989, though, I think what's fascinating is we were really at movies are changing, and I wonder if that's why this gets the amount of hate it is, because it's still a Jason Voorhees movie, and it's not adapting at all to the times, and God bless it for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, let's start right where the movie starts, which is all of these wonderful, they pretty much, I feel like they went through and were like, we don't have enough New York and people are going to be pissed about this. So then they're like, okay, use all your second unit shots of New York, and we'll show the gangbangers that attack them later. We'll show the kids who are hanging out in Times Square, all while this weird radio DJ says this sultry poem.
I love it because right, it sets up the diner that Kingser or whatever his name, the guy played Jason in the later movie, gets thrown into the glass. It sets up everything. So you're right. It's really it's the pickup shots and the output in the beginning. But I love that it's this radio DJ and he's talking about the times in New York. And I was like, oh, I love it. It's fucking great, man. It's a great setup. And probably the reason people get as pissed as they did, because this is selling you a bag of goods that it will not come. But I do not care it's a great open. We have like the Batman sort of mugging in the alley, a lot of mist coming from a lot of the manholes. The whole thing is pure 80s bliss. And
well, I mean, you say Batman, and I think it's literally the shot that shows Jason takes like the title cards. We get to see Batman in Times Square.
Yeah, it's the first Keaton Batman. Yeah, it's great. It's great. It sets up the time of good movies.
Yeah. I mean, 89 is an incredible year. Absolutely, insane year. But this one, I think. One thing I want to bring up too is just how we're not used to credit sequences like this in this franchise. This franchise has literally just been white text on black background for 7 movies at this point. So now we're getting the usual kind of setup in terms of the font. I think is still the same, but they finally have stuff behind it. This is, I would say at this point, it's the best of it's the most interesting credits that the series has done. I think that Jason X probably surpasses it since that's like a cool little trip through hell. But otherwise, this is actually an imaginative credit sequence. And I also want to bring up, I've never realized that this is a Horror Inc. production.
I saw that. I don't know what that means. I got to be honest. I didn't even look into it, but
I did, and I couldn't find anything.
So it's a shell company. So somebody made some money in taxes. That's all.
Yeah.
But the sequence, again, to reiterate, but it is setting up all of the set pieces in the movie later on, all of the places they're going to go. It at least it has a purpose. And stylistically and tonally setting up the movie, because that radio DJ kind of fits the sultry 80s vibe. Because this is horny, but it's not horny in the same way. It's very late 80s, early 90s, which is a very tampered down and more, I don't know, romanticized. Like even the opening scene with Jim and Susie, that to me reminds me a lot more of the stuff that I grew up with, watching on TV than the couple banging in the woods on the blanket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. That whole, I mean, I love that it's just like a shot of Crystal Lake, leaves this New York. And then we get a shot of Crystal Lake who put a yacht on Crystal Lake? Because that is a yacht.
Yes.
It's a small yacht, but it's still a yacht. And also, the lights at Camp Crystal Lake are just on. That place looks like it's fully operational and campers are there. So what the fuck is happening?
It's also not where 7 left off at all, because 7 left off not near any camp. And now we're at the camp, and this is where Jason is too. And I love that sign that was clearly a last minute addition where somebody's like, fuck, we got to get a census Camp Crystal Lake. They sent the poor producer's assistant out to get some lettering. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It is so cheap that it's probably the best thing I've ever seen.
I love when they cheap out in the strangest of ways for this.
But you're right though. It looks like an active camp. That's not a abandoned camp at all.
But there's not a whole lot of this that makes sense because yes, you bring up the camp aspect, which in part 7 there was no camp around. Even if they had shown the inkling of oh, there's a camp just over there, that would have at least set this up a little bit. But then also the mask is gone. The mask has been torn in half and then was picked up by a random a
paramedic.
Yeah, paramedic after the fact, which even the pieces that he picked up, it wasn't the complete mask. So it's that mask is done. So they had to do a lot of just resetting at the beginning of this film, which is funny because it's they made all these pains to reset. And there's also something that happens at the end where it's Paramount not wanting to close the door on Jason completely. Yet it's well, this still was the final entry for Paramount. So it's damn it, why couldn't you guys have just, I don't know, let the creative team be creative rather than just give them all these guidelines?
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought it's so dumb how the mask is here, but I actually like it because it's so dumb. I'm willing to accept it because it makes it's great because it is so lazy that I'm actually impressed. Because how about we just he has a copy of the mask with the X mark. Sure, like fucking why not? Why not, man?
Yeah.
No,
I'm
gonna.
The mask looks great though.
Okay, that makes me happy because I actually had this whole argument against you. I agree. It's one of my favorite looking masks. That's why I'm able to just accept it, is because if the mask looked cheap or dumb, I'd be mad. But it looks worn. It looks weathered. It looks like it's been underwater.
Yeah.
They basically were just like, okay, what would the mask look like in relation to how it would be without the damage of 6 and 7? And this is, to me, actually one of my favorite looking masks. I would put it above one of my favorites, which is 6. In terms of mask quality, I like the look of this. I like the yellow tint, the wornness to it.
Yellow tint carries over into the remake.
Yes. And the remake is actually one of the better masks, which people don't like to discuss either, but I guess that's a conversation for a different time. But the fact that they just have it, he just has the mask with the X mark. Good. Why think? Why even try? I love it. Just he has it, and Jason gets it back, and it's like we never left. I think that's what I like. It's just an excuse for Jason to be the Jason we know and love. And I'm willing to ride that dumb wave as far as it goes.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not surprised that you thought that I wouldn't like it because
of what you said last episode.
Yes, but I was referring to the mask that we see in the sewer when the hockey mask comes off.
Oh, talking about Muppet Jason, yes.
Muppet, yes, that was what I was referring to, not his actual Jason Voorhees mask.
Oh.
Which, I've always liked this one. I used to work for this site, Wolf in a Gorilla Suit, and we did Friday the 13th stuff, and this shot of Jason pulling off the mask from the, what is it, like the stern of the ship, the bow, whatever, the thing that you move the ship, the wheel of the ship, him grabbing that, it's such an iconic shot. It looks incredible, and it doesn't make any sense that it has a notch in it, but in my mind, I'm like, Jason's been a thing for years at this point. I would expect there's Ted Bundy merch. I would expect there to be Jason Voorhees merch. And I would think that this guy, he literally makes a Jason joke. So it's like, this is very clearly a Jason mask. So I think it's more just like, works.
That's fair. And he does tell the story. And as I said last episode, the most important thing to me when I look for Jason merch or anything with Jason is the X mark. To me, that is the difference between a knockoff and like somebody understands the lore, and something that I've had an issue with actually. Like the remake should have the X mark put in there somehow. The X mark is actually, to me, the most important part of the mask outside of the triangles. Like, you can mess with the triangles all you want, but the X mark actually needs to be there. That, for me personally, that's like my go-to marking that makes it a true Jason Voorhees mask.
My only argument would be that I wouldn't mind it not being in the remake if they then do their own, they do a...
Yeah, like it becomes a part of it in it, yes.
Yes. That's actually what I was hoping for the whole time was, oh, yes, they're setting this up. But yeah, then unfortunately it doesn't end up happening. I mean, I don't think it ends up happening.
No, there's no X mark in the remake. But this, dumb as it is, has it, and it means a lot. I'll be honest. And it makes it such a cool, like, I want this mask. There's a guy online I follow on Instagram who like does recreations of all the movies, and it takes like 4 months to order. And yeah, man, I would probably have this or 6. As much as I love 7, 7's too damaged for me to like display. In terms of just like on the wall, I'd probably 8. But yeah, man. So let's jump into so the horny guy's trying to bang his girl, puts the anchor down, and we get. My favorite, this is how Jason should just be brought back all the time. I love that he's so, again, nowhere near the house, makes no sense, but he's in the rubble. So at least they're doing the old fashioned, what I love, which is you have to start from the ending, which is for some reason, he's on the fucking pier or buried in it, I should say. And they drag it against like what looks like a power line. and it brings him back.
The fucking Jaws 2 all over again.
Yes,
Like, what in the world is with these massive, like, at least in Jaws 2 it makes sense because it's like, oh yeah, they have to get electricity to the island from the mainland. Like, yes, that makes sense. Meanwhile, this small little lake, you're going to tell me that the easiest way to run this electrical wire was through this lake?
That's a good point, actually, because you're right. It's not an island. Just run it through the ground.
Everything is a grid. There's some kind, like, you know what I mean? There's no reason for that to have run through, but it's so funny because then we get to have the Jason coming back to electricity again.
And establishing for me that's how you bring Jason back. Like if I were to write a movie and bring Jason back, it would have to be through electricity somehow. In fact, that should be the main, he dies, all of a sudden like lightning strikes and he's back. Like, that's it, man. That's it. And it's cool. It has the old fashioned, like clearly drawn in effects or whatever that is. The blue, I call it the old blue lightning.
And Jason's just like goopy in this. He has like green slime that's falling off of him. He is in a constant misty state.
I love it. Yeah.
It's amazing. But I always think of production stuff. And so all I can think is poor Kane and
just lathering on every take.
Just someone with a spray bottle, giving him a spritz between takes constantly. Or and they always have to film these at like non-summer times. It's
always in the winter.
Yeah. So like that's getting just sprayed with cold water. And that's not ideal in any way. So it makes me like Kane even more because he puts himself in such a, I don't know, rough position in order to entertain.
Well, let's get into this because I've always been a defender of this Jason look, and you brought it up, and I want to say I agree that the slime. I love that he's wet because he's been underwater for so long, and I like that his skin is bloated and white. Obviously, not as damaged as he was in the previous film, which is fine because that then makes Seven special to me. But this to me at least acknowledges that this SOB has been underwater rotting, and this is their version of that. And I'm still happy that is the thought process. He's not human looking. He's not just normal, and we'll get into Jason X and stuff like that. But, he was a little too human in that. I like this is still monster Jason. And I appreciate that we are acknowledging that he's just a full on monster with his dark, deep black eyes once again.
Oh yeah, you got your black eyes again.
Probably the darkest in this one.
You pretty much get it. The whole, this is, I would say, the biggest example of it. You don't really see his eyes outside of when the mask is off.
No.
And it looks great. Like, it always just looks so good.
Yeah, it's monster. It's a monster.
Yeah. And I want to talk about, too, because last time my main point was just all the deaths being cut and just the lack of creativity. Now here, part 8 is the example of how you do it right. So we have this. I like how he loads the harpoon. He shoots it, but shoots it next to her, and then he stabs the guy with the harpoon device.
Yeah, not the actual blunt. Yes.
And it has because of the device having these weird tubes on it. It gives this. I've known that as a kid. I thought this was the case where it almost gives the impression that it's his guts.
Yeah, for most of my life, I thought it was his intestines. You're right. It's just the tubes. Yeah.
So it's like that alone, just creative. They're able to get around. It's still edited. It's still cut around, but they're able to show a lot more. Same with the girl. I like Jason takes the little harpoon thing that he missed her with the first time, and then stabs her, which again, it's a little stalking sequence, which I think it does go on a little too long, just in that it's like, okay, we know where she is. She's hiding below. Just let's get to this. But I do like the slow, him bringing it down, and it seems to be like a slow stab. So it makes it even more painful, I guess. But it's so much more than, since it's doing it's the harpoon that Jason had shot, missed. There's all these elements where it's not just, he found her and then he stabbed her with a machete and it cuts away. So it's just the creativity is what I appreciate with this.
And I actually agree, but I know that you know this, so I'm going to bring it up, that this movie was written in direct, not relation, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the
response reaction
to Seven. So I remember, Hedden has said, like, knowing of how bad Seven was messed up, he went into this saying he actually wanted less gore and more blunt force trauma. And this is my big defense of this. Like, yes, if we're not going to have gore, I think all the kills in this, for the most part, work because gore is not usually the factor. And it works. And we'll get to a great example, but the guitar hit is exactly how you do it if you can't show it. And I agree. A lot of this is that style, and purposely so. And I like it.
Almost all of the kills end up being a connection to the character's personality, which I think is massive. You have even the guitar girl, you have the camera guy getting electrocuted, you have Julius, the whole punching thing. But then you can even take it as far as the mean girl, who is vain and a bitch. Yeah. She gets killed with a mirror. So it's like there's these things that the connection is what makes it so much better, because it's not just random. It's not just, this person is this person's a baseball player and Jason's going to beat him to death with a baseball bat. Yeah. Like that's the kind of stuff I like, because it just makes it a little smarter.
The jock is resting in the sauna because that's what you do. Yeah, exactly. It's funny though. Having you say it in that exact way makes me think clearly must be a little bit of an influence from Nightmare on Elm Street, because during that part of the era of Elm Street, like 3 on, he was killing people with their fears, and now this isn't their fears, but it is connecting personality to kill. So that's a good call out, actually.
Yeah, it's something I probably didn't even realize until this viewing as to why it worked for me. I think it was mostly because I was trying to then figure out, like, why does this not bug me, but 7 does?
Because I was smart enough to know ahead of time. As Buechler had confidence, Hedden was like, I'm not even going to try.
Well, Buechler was also a special effects guy, so
yes,
that's the kind of thing where it's like you're gonna try. Because you're not gonna then want put out a movie that then doesn't have stuff in it, because then you're like, all your peers are gonna be like, what the hell?
Yeah, you're an effects
guy. Got your chance and you didn't even go full bore.
Yeah. But no, I'm a big fan of all this, and the kill on the boat, which the Susie's kill. You're right; it has a more impact, even if it shows nothing. And what I like is that, as a kid, I remember thinking like, "There's nowhere she can go. There's nowhere she can go." And growing up in things like this, I always think, never hide, just keep moving. So like in real life, I would never hide from a killer. I would just keep moving, because it's like, well, keep up then, keep up.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I didn't notice too is with the slow push in of the murder device, it actually goes to a wide shot of Jason leaning down, and you can see him continuing to push the little harpoon thing down, like even further, to the point where it shows her, when it shows it again, that thing has to be all the way through her body. Like it has to be.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love. That's what he does. It's the old fashioned spear through the bed. It's like he likes to continue until it stops itself.
Yeah. It's fun. It's implied violence that helps without actually showing the violence, because then we don't have to deal with the MPAA being assholes.
And a little thing I've always liked that's really dumb, but I always appreciate it, is that Jason then closes the hatch. I don't know why. I was like, that's just very neat.
Yeah, it works.
That'll do.
It works well for when the boat is found later, because then it's like, okay, someone might have found her body immediately if had it been open. So then it being closed makes it a little more. What?
Let's not forget though, he drives the boat, so he shuts that thing and then walks down. He brings up the anchor. He has to. Mm-hmm. That starts the boat, and he's cleaning house, because he has a drive. It's like, want that fucking thing open. With all the drag, it'll slow you down. So he gets everything in order and then drives the boat.
Yes, because this boat is apparently this Crystal Lake is connected to the ocean. which is what this movie is setting up and establishing, which I think is amazing because I wish that it was something that carried on further, because there's a ton of lakes that, there's a river that then connects it to the ocean. Why not just do that? It's fun. It's stupid.
Well, yeah, really the only thing that could have been better is like as they, I went on some sort of like a montage of like maybe him getting there and then passing sort of like deserts, mountains with ice. Just go all the way with there is no, geography that's correct. I want to see the Sears Tower in the background as well. Like, fuck it. Let's just keep going, man.
Well, when we're finally leaving Crystal Lake, and it goes, the next shot, we're essentially, they're establishing that there's a class trip that's going on this big old ship to New York. How much do you think that it costs to hire a massive near cruise ship to go to somewhere that you could take a bus, like a 2-hour bus ride to? Like, what's the logic in this?
I'm glad you brought that up, because when I did my Jason 8 video for Joe Blow, I mentioned, I go, this is so suspicious. I go, this seems like a scheme. This is a scheme. Because exactly, it's like for like the class of what, like 50, honestly? I mean, really, 20 minutes in, it becomes like 10. Mm-hmm. They rent a giant cruise ship to go, exactly, because this is New Jersey. And I know damn well there's a bridge to New York, because I remember what's his face clunked that up when he had issues as governor. So I know there's a bridge, buddy. Why are we taking this boat? But fuck it, because we get a cool boat now. That's all that matters to me. It's like, yeah, good. Make it a cruise ship. Why not?
If anything, there would have been complaints if it wasn't connected. People would have been like, why on earth do they just go? Why do they go to this other place to then get on this boat? Or it's like, no, it's easier to just say, nope, this is all connected to Crystal Lake and good to go.
Crystal Lake has the means, the dock size, and somehow the crew to like get cruise ships. Something where like everybody has to fly to basically Florida for, or like parts of California. Yeah, fuck it. New Jersey. They also have a little dock. I love it.
Especially when we've already seen in, let's see, parts 3, 4, and 6. Oh no, 7. All the lake is so tiny. It's like a pond, Crystal Lake Pond.
Yeah.
So
7 was, lake is even being insulting to lakes, especially as both of us grew up near like a real lake. Even pond might be even, what's a round pond, but a little bit bigger. Can I just say I don't know.
Pond is all I can think of.
Is pond it?
It's a puddle. It's a big puddle.
It's just like a canal to me, It's something that like fills up with water and then dissipates as the weather gets warmer. But this actually looks like a true lake. This shot when they're actually on the cruise ship. That's like a lake. Yeah. I don't know much about geography in New York and New Jersey, so I don't know if there's giant mountains around there. But it looks lovely.
Appalachians, yeah.
Yeah, New Jersey looks like what's that part of Canada we always film in? I've been to twice. Vancouver. It looks like Vancouver.
Yeah, it looks like Vancouver. Even though, is it Vancouver? No, did they shoot? Yeah, they shot in Vancouver. So that probably is Vancouver.
I hiked a couple mountains in Vancouver. That's why I know it's a lovely, beautiful thing, but just again, I've never been to New Jersey, so maybe it looks like that. I'm gonna guess probably not as much, not as mystical as this. This looks very upper East Coast or upper West Coast to me. This is very like Oregon and Washington, but why not? But then Jason comes to the water on the rope with that little surprise thing, and that's how he gets in the boat. I think that's cool. So it parks the boat, gets in the water once again, not afraid.
Not afraid of water.
Cold water, jumped in, breaststroked his way to the anchor, and then climbed on up.
And so, what's your opinion? The last episode, I hated Lar Park Lincoln. You loved her. What's your opinion on Rennie?
I don't hate Rennie. I think she's fine. I think she's like calm, mature. I always thought she was good, man. I had no issues with her. I think the actress does well. She's not, changing the world here, but I like her more than I like the dude. I think she has more better
agency.
Yeah, and also just like the acting and the emoting just works a little more for me. She seems like she's trying. Again, I was when I was a kid, I was like, oh, she must be like 35. And then watching this now, it's like she acts like she has a kid at home. You know, like I know they're supposed to be teens, but like you got a girl who is an old soul right off the bat. But no, I don't know. She's
got
shit.
mom vibes.
Exactly. And mom jeans and mom shirt, mom hair.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I never had an issue with her. I mean, she's no Charles. I mean, Charles is the guy here, man, you know?
Well, Charles is the best, to the point that I didn't catch it until this viewing, that Charles does not want Rennie to go on her school trip. He is pissed that she was brought. Charles is going. Yeah. Charles is going. Her uncle is going, but he's pissed that she's coming as well.
Well, he tried to drown her as a child to teach her how to swim. Now he's great. I love that. We had Bernie Lomax in 7, and we have my friend from Naked Gun in this one. I like that for some reason in like the later eras. So like we need another villain, and this also has like the bitchy blonde again, like the Melissa Part 2 with I can't think of her name right now. I'll have to look it up. I think it's what's her fucking name? Tamara?
Tamara, yeah. Tamara. I was trying to look through my notes real quick. Couldn't find it. Yeah, Tamara.
But either way, I'm just saying I like the idea that we have, again, other villains besides Jason for no reason. It's just really just to make it stressful, you know?
Yeah, and he's really just like a dick. He's less of a dick than I thought he was initially when I first watched this movie. There are a lot more instances where I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. He wasn't being a perv here. It's like when Tamara tries to blackmail him. It's like, oh, he's not interested. He's not interested. He's like, he seems more confused by the situation. And then once he catches on, he's like, whoa. And then she's like, I got you, fucker.
No, he's a professional. I mean, he's a dick in the sense where and this is like my favorite kind of villain. He's the kind of villain that would not get his hands dirty and have a lot of his henchmen do the work. And those are my favorite kinds. He just is like snooty asshole. He's like, you know, are you girls doing drugs? Or, you know, he just seems annoyed. Like he's just very like sort of pompous. And I that's the kind of asshole he is, you know?
Yeah, I'm shocked he's not a Bond villain because he kind of has that vibe.
Yes, like holding a cat kind of, scheming. Yeah, he has that. Yeah, which is my favorite kind of villain, which is why I like him. He just seems, you know, it just seems like he has a stick up his ass, and I'm pro that.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't have much love for a lot of these characters, but I don't dislike them. And I actually enjoy the introductions because we're establishing personalities for all of these people. Like Rennie, right off the bat, we know she's timid, has a very like weird relationship with her uncle. And then we meet like guitar girl, camera guy, the dancing folks. Like it just immediately sets up this world of, yep, these are high schoolers. These are people who are just coming to have fun, get away. I do kind of wish that they had leaned in a little more to the like them getting away from their parents kind of angle, because I think that is an appealing aspect of like, I guess, teenhood in general. So then I think that would be a fun element to play with, but also that might be a little too much for a Friday the 13th to dive into.
Writing a better movie, yes. They're stock characters, but they have the personalities. You're right. Sets up everybody and what they do. You box, you play guitar, you have the camera, you're a rich girl who has cocaine.
Yeah,
that's
I forgot the Valley girls with the cocaine. Like, what in the world?
And he catches them, you know, and they drop them in the air. That's awesome. They're doing coke like in this weird, like, we'll get to that part. I really like that part. Yeah.
They even set up like the camera guy being whipped by Tamara. There's as much as you can easily dog the writing in this, but there's a lot of times where the writing is actually pretty solid. And I think that instances like this very much showcase that, because we get to see that there was care put into a lot of these things. I'll bring up other points later, but I was shocked at how much is set up. It's not nearly as random as I remember, because I kept thinking of like the teleporting Jason. This is the movie where Jason really starts teleporting.
Yes.
And yes, it does happen, but they do a lot of, I think it's mostly just like bad editing choices. that then put him in different spots that they could have easily with a different editor added some things where it doesn't appear that he's teleporting as much as he is, but they do other aspects that I enjoy a lot where it's just they're setting up Jason as someone who's kind of punishing these people with the things that they like, which I enjoy.
And let me throw this out there because I'm like one of the few people who don't have, I've never had a problem with the teleporting. At this point, I don't mind him having a more of a supernatural power because he's a monster. He comes back from electricity. Who gives a shit? And I want to point this out. The game makes it canon that Jason basically teleports. So at this point, I want to hear no bad talk about it. It's canon. If you don't like it, not saying you personally, but for people, it's like, it's canon now, guys. Who gives a shit? At this point,
the only thing that I would argue against is the game also gives Jason like predator vision.
And he has it too. He can see you through walls. I'm okay with that as well. Put that in the movie and call it a day, man. He's a monster, and I want him to have all the advantages. I don't actually want him to have to struggle. I always feel bad for Jason. You know, it's me. It's like this poor guy has to like go through walls. What if you could just walk through them? You know, clearly
he does walk through them.
No, but I mean actually like Patrick Swayze in Ghost. I want that kind of just, you know, what should we call it? The guy from Car 54 and,
you are not nearly enough of a comic nerd. How about Kitty Pryde from X-Men?
Fuck, I don't know who that is. Kitty Pryde from X-Men. I'm talking about the guy from Car 54 and Scrooged. That's the reference I'm going for. I don't know who Kitty Pryde is. Is that a girl?
Yeah, it's X-Men. She walks through walls. Was played by Ellen Page in the X3.
Fair enough, my friend, but I just want to make a Buster Poindexter reference. You know, I'm a big Scrooge fan, and in all honesty, I feel like we don't have enough New York Dolls talk in this podcast, so I just want to throw that out there. But yes, I guess a comic would make more sense. Fair enough. But all this is, I'm being just kind of sarcastic because I don't give a shit that Jason has powers because people for some reason have like this weird authentic, it's Jason Voorhees. Like, oh, I mean, the guy that comes back out of nowhere for no good reason and has super strength. That's like gives a shit. Let him like, give me a fun movie. And this is fun. That's really the whole argument I'm trying to make is that, yeah, if he was teleporting in part 2, sure, that would be stupid. But by now, you know, as far as I'm concerned, have fun. Let's do it, man.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with,
that's all. Sorry.
With, the silliness that they go and like the way that they go through with it, because it's I don't know, it's annoying, but I don't hate it. It's more of something that I wish wasn't as prominent, but it's whatever.
Oh, I like it. I want more of it. But okay, so
I like more when he's like the example with the girl and the guitar girl. While she goes down,
walking down the stairs,
walks down slowly. That's what I prefer. I want him to be walking slowly, not just appearing out of nowhere. I don't have much interest in the whole appear out of nowhere trope.
How about we in the middle and we get 40% teleporting and the rest is walking? Would you give me that at least?
Yeah,
less than half.
That.
Okay, there we go.
I'd take that.
I think that's a fair handshake, and then, well, I think after this one he doesn't really teleport at all. So really, it's just this movie. No, I guess I don't remember.
I can't remember. I think Jason Goes to Hell has him too.
Well, is it really him? Isn't it just some dude walking around?
It's his soul. It's his soul. It's been so long since I've seen that one, so that'll be a tough one.
I am worried. Like, what if we both kind of like it?
Never in a million years will it happen for me. I hate that movie. I mean, I could be in a great mood and all the stars can align, but no, I can't imagine that happens.
No, I mean, I'm being sarcastic because my one rule with Jason movies is show Jason and I'm happy. And that movie is like, how about we show him for 8 minutes? I'm like,
even when Jason shows up, he looks awful. But whatever, we'll get into that next episode. Yes. We have a lot to complain about in that one.
So he walks down and then he hits the girl in the face with the guitar, and it's through the camera POV.
Sick guitar too, flying V.
The flying V. It's not a POV. It's just like I like the shot though, like how it looks. Because
they do a POV at one point as he's walking down the stairs.
No, I was thinking about the camera, but the kill is a POV shot of her, and then it hits, and then you got the blood corner spitting out. I think that's a very creative way to, like as we said before, to do it without, pissing off the MPAA.
Yeah, I love it because also too it sets up the stalking aspect, because it happens later on where they do the fake out, which I was one of my complaints about 7 is all the POVs always end up being Jason, but here they do several different fake outs. One of the times it's the uncle. Like I like when they do the fake outs, because then what's the point of the POV scary shot if you always know it's Jason? You want it to be like a mystery of like, oh, is this Jason or is this like another character? So I liked that they brought that aspect back. And
you like your POVs, fair enough.
Yep. And I want to mention too, because I don't have I have a weird kind of affection for Rennie. I like her a lot in this, but actually looking at the elements of her character, I don't really like the character a ton. I think it's just I like the actress's vibes, and I guess also too, my first car I called Serenity based on the Joss Whedon show, and it was short. I would always call her Rennie, so literally would constantly call her Rennie. So then I think part of me just mentally just likes that. Just I hear Rennie and I'm like, I have these positive brain synapses firing. So then I'm just like, oh yeah, I like her a lot. Because watching this time, I'm like, wait, why do I like her though? Because she's not really much of any, like she doesn't do much.
It's the actress. Because you're right, she's like a lot of the other final girls. She's just kind of hanging around and becomes the one that survives. Yeah. But she comes off empathetic. I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they carry over the weird Tina like telekinesis thing, because Rennie has visions.
Yes.
which makes cool. No sense.
No, but it keeps the supernatural element, which I'm like, fucking whatever. She also sees Jason as just like a normal boy a lot too, which makes no sense either, but like whatever. No, it's fun. Hold on though. So you named your first car after Firefly?
Yes, I did. I loved Firefly back in the day. That first season is incredible. I'm a big, both of my cars have been named after Joss Whedon things. So, whoops.
I liked Firefly. I really actually like Serenity a lot. I thought it was a solid movie. But I was just curious. That's kind of cool. I never named any of my cars, and I know a lot of people who've done it. So I was just kind of curious.
Yep, I got Rennie was my first car, and Buffy is my second car. So always go for the girls.
Well, do me a favor though. Next car, can it be Charles?
Charles. It would have to be like a fucking 1980s Cadillac or something. One of those boxy Bodie type vehicles that you don't even see on the road anymore.
One of my earliest cars, it was a 1981 or 80 Chevy Malibu. A fucking thing was the biggest boat. Bench front seats, bench back. No crumple zones. Like if I were to hit somebody, they'd be dead. I'll never forget that. Every time I park my car at a gas station, somebody's like, "How much for the car?" I'm like, "It's not for sale." So it's funny. I'm just thinking like that would have been a Charles. I wish I could go back and name my first or second car Charles.
If only. Missed opportunity.
I make a lot of mistakes. Sea of regret, my friend. Sea of regrets.
So they do, and I'll tell you right now, my notes aren't nearly as detailed as they have been, so I'll probably skip around some things, but if there's something that you want to discuss, feel free to go back. But the random boxing match that Tamara and Kelly Hu's character like watch from above, what is going on with Crystal Lake High School and their like love for boxing? Because I don't know about you, but we never had a boxing team.
No. Does that exist? Actually, that must be like is that like an East Coast thing? I'm a Midwesterner. No, we had football, basketball, and swimming. That's just maybe baseball. I don't even remember.
Never. There has definitely never been like especially a school-oriented thing where they're punching. No,
that's a good point. Yeah,
not,
that seems violent. Yeah, concussions and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I was gonna bring up concussions, but then I was like, well, football's still allowed. So,
but I feel like that's more like because it makes money. Boxing. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, I guess because part of me forgets this is high school. Like I was like this in 7 especially. I always just feel like everybody's like 24. You know. Everybody looks older, like they act older, the vibe's older. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And also, they're like what, an hour and a half in, maybe 2 hours, and they're already like, there's a boxing match. Is it sparring? Is it official? They don't really set it up. It's just they set it because we want to know that Julius likes to punch. That's probably and all it is, which is fine. Good. Punching is a thing. Yes.
Yeah, that's as a matter of fact, that's why I like the fact that it's in there because it sets up the Julius kill later. It also just kind of sets up the Julius character in general, but it's also setting up the sauna death.
Exactly.
So like there's a lot of points to it. Then also it goes to like the Tamara and I can't remember Kelly Hu's character. Whenever I see her, I'm always just like Kelly Hu.
Well, I always say Ava, but it could be Eva. It's EVA. That's me as Ava.
Yeah, Ava. I would say Ava.
I have a strong A, so like. Apple, awkward, finale. So that's just how we talk.
I love that they're just like, oh my God, they're so hot. It's like the one girl's even like, Julius is the only guy that is the only senior that I would get with. And then they're immediately talking about like deckhands because they're clearly only into older dudes, which also sets up the whole her going after the uncle
principal or
Charles.
Yeah.
What is he? Is he the principal? I've always thought he was the principal.
I naturally say principal. I'm not going to lie to you. I have no idea. I guess I could just look it up. But for some reason, I feel he seems like the principal would be going on the boat. You know, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be the superintendent. And he's in charge. So I just naturally would say, yes, he's a principal.
I feel like he's always just referred to as the uncle. Like chaperoned by biology teacher. Dr.
What?
Charles McCulloch. He's the biology teacher. And the female, the Colleen Van Duzen, is the English teacher. So this trip is just being chaperoned by the biology and English teachers.
He seems far more confident than he should be as a biology teacher. I mean, I actually got to give him credit. Like, good for him, man. Like, he's giving off principal vibes. Like, I guess... Now that I know that officially, I would say, besides all the murders, he deserves a promotion. I mean, he clearly he has the fortitude, the attitude, and the sort of maturity to, I think, run a school.
And I think that Tamara needs to be set back a grade because she tries to bribe him with an anatomy project. Charles' reaction should have been, bitch, I'm a biology teacher. Fuck off with your anatomy display.
Wrong teacher. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
well, biology teacher.
Lot of sense.
Like I would say biology professor tenured at like a nice state college. But like that means he's making high school money.
I was going to say, I taught high school biology. I know exactly what is required of that, and it is not any it is very rudimentary because you're dealing with freshmen.
That's what I'm saying. He's getting professor vibes. I feel like that's a miscast. They need to fix that Wikipedia. Just make him the principal. Who fucking cares?
To be fair, he is Dr. Charles McCulloch. So I feel like there's a little bit of a history there that we don't know about. You know, he's a doctor, so he probably had a better job, and then he had to, after abusing too many students, he had to drop down to Camp Crystal Lake High School. And when I say abusing, I mean, the normal teacher abuse.
Oh, so no, I'm going straight for Hand that Rocks the Cradle. Where the doctor, takes off his glove and fingers the main girl and gets fired, and then we had Rebecca De Mornay get revenge. That's this. You got a little loose with the patient, man. Got a little too handsy. Got his credentials taken away, and now he's I keep saying principal. He's a biology teacher in high school. Yeah, dude. That's a dark story.
Very dark. I like this alternate history that we've given to Charles.
Well, Charles was one of the best characters. Really, God bless the guy. I know he's passed, but I really wish Charles would have been like. Could we have gotten Charles and Bernie Lomax and a Jason? Can you imagine that fucking movie?
That would be amazing.
Just a bunch of old assholes just making kids' lives terrible, and then there's also a murdering monster traversing the woods.
One thing that I want to bring up, because we keep mentioning the name Charles, and I cannot hear that name without thinking of the Juggernaut. Charles.
I always think of the X-Men movie. Charles. But yeah, same shit, right? Is that what we're making X-Men references?
Yeah, X-Men references. Charles. I can't not think of that whenever one of us says Charles. So just so our listeners know, anytime one of us says Charles, I will have the mental image of Charles Xavier and Juggernaut from X-Men in my head.
I'll have Ian McKellen. I guess that'll be mine. But same difference.
So when I said how I appreciate the creativity in the kills in this, and I think that it's the sauna death really just exemplifies that. It's very just, I don't know, it's well done.
As somebody who got into saunas a lot in the last few years of my life, this hits a lot harder than it did when I was a kid, because I could tell you how fucking hot that rock must be. And they do a cool thing where like it almost flames up.
Yes.
When it hits the skin. I mean, not that I'm saying that would actually happen, but I've been in saunas where like I was like, I'm gonna die. It's so hot in here. So the sort of vulnerability you are, the sort of vulnerability you are in, I should say. I don't know how the fuck I'm saying it correctly. But basically being naked, wet, and vulnerable in this box is scary enough, because I'm always thinking like, if the door locks, how do I break it so I can survive? And not thinking about some crazy monster sticking a sauna rock in my chest. So it hits, man. It hits more than it used to.
There is not a chance that I would lay down in a sauna with a towel over my head because of Jason Takes Manhattan. I would have this mental image in my head. Though I do think that and this is just technology not being, I don't know, up to snuff at this point. It would have been cool with how wet Jason is if it like steamed a little more when he grabs the sauna rock. Because obviously it's hard, even though this was the highest budgeted Friday the 13th at this point. I think it was like 5.1 million. That's a hard thing that's, you know what I mean? That's an effect where it's like, okay, we're not going to put in the time to try and get that. It doesn't matter.
No. And it's one of those that like, it steams enough. I think they could probably get away with just making an excuse, but no, yeah, exactly. And the sound of it could have been more, but I also think how many people really go to saunas a lot, like I'm more of a sauna expert than I've ever been. So it's like, I'm looking at all this stuff, which is funny because like, the wet towel over the face is actually like a really good, smart thing to do to keep you there longer, and like it gets him too. Yeah. If he wasn't better, he's doing that because he actually knows what he's doing, and it got him killed. I mean, I guess he was going to get away anyway. He was going to fight Jason off, but
Well, and it's smart too, because he was just fighting Julius, so he even says he doesn't. The whole reason he's not like, oh, who's this? He thinks it's Julius. He even says, so it's like, yep, it makes sense. We just fought. And it also sets up too of like, yep, even though they were fighting, it's not like a dynamic of these people hate each other, which I think it just works. It works for the whole dynamic going on in the whole boat.
Yeah, the friends. It's just a game.
Yeah, because outside of Tamara, outside of her, there's not really characters that are antagonistic towards each other. It's just Charles.
Just a Charles. Yeah, no, I mean, as opposed to 7, there's only one.
Oh my God.
One team that's mean.
7. Jesus. Well, everyone's antagonistic.
I love it. But in this, so let's give a credit. Like Melissa might have been a bitch, but she was just verbally abusive. Tamara actually tries and kills Rennie by pushing her off the boat into the deep, dark ocean. Just because she saw her doing cocaine. I always thought that was a great escalation. She saw her doing cocaine, thought that she like ratted her out, and then pushes her over the fucking boat. It's like, whoops. Did you see that video of? I'm sorry, I got to bring it up though. Of it was like a middle last year about this guy that jumped off not a cruise ship, but like a party boat, and the current like took him off and he just was like, screaming for help and then just drowned. So I just always think like it's so easy to die. So the fact that she did this like casually, I think really sets up how evil she is.
Yeah, I mean, I bring it up when we talk about Julius later on, because Julius gets thrown out into the water, and he's somehow able to survive in the ocean during a storm. It's like, holy crap, that's impressive. I think people don't understand how powerful and terrifying the ocean is.
That would probably be my deepest, darkest fear, is what happens to Julius. Just being thrown into the deep, dark ocean in a storm. I mean, I would hope to have a gun with me to blow my brains out so I didn't have to weather that last moment of life.
Dude, I would, if I had any kids, I wouldn't be able to take them on a cruise ship, because I would constantly just be thinking of like them fucking leaning over the side and just falling.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it happens a lot.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. There's the number of like old people that just like, that's their retirement plan. Like, go on a cruise ship and just go off the side. It's like, ugh, brutal.
Yeah, you got to just shoot yourself.
Yeah, there's definitely better ways to have your family get their payout. But
yeah, sorry. Yeah, keep going. I was going to go in a whole different direction, but yes, yes.
Let's continue with our Jason Takes Manhattan. So the next major thing is the Tamara and the camera guy trying to scam Charles. Which,
yeah, and I think her idea is probably smart. It just, she just, I don't know. I wonder what she thought. Because I think this is actually a wise idea to sort of like trap some dude, but he never came across as like kind of horny for. So like I want to be like, sweetheart, read the room a little bit better. Like you're gonna have a better chance of him like saying something on audio tape than like taking you to bed. But I appreciate the effort. And then she does that whole thing on her. Like, I wonder who did it. It must have been the camera guy, right? I mean, who drew it on her? I mean, did she draw it herself? She has like all the little parts.
Yeah, I mean, I've always assumed that it was herself, but it would make more sense if it was the camera guy. But he's so hot for her.
But
I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me if they didn't think that through. They're just like, yep, she just did this. She just has this on her.
But it ends up working for her, because on the video, they're like, she's on top on the bed, and he's not pushing her off. So it's like, that's still, it counts as a win. Because all that little tape proves is exactly what you need to say, which is he took advantage.
Yeah. Which also too, I mean, she just like completely, even though the camera guy helps her out. And by the way, that camera guy could easily be like, you know what? Fuck you, Tamara. You didn't even, I thought this was going to lead to something. Delete, like record over this.
Yeah. Throw it over the side of the boat. Be like, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, there's so many ways where it's like, so her immediately just being like, nope, I got what I need. It's like, I don't think you did. You still need to string him along until that video is seen publicly. Like, he could still completely screw you.
Yeah, she jumped ship a little too quickly when it comes to, metaphorically, her plan. Exactly. She didn't slowly walk away. She maybe was like, I don't need you anymore. It's like, I guess that's not like you're risking a lot though. He could decide to teach her. He could, come on, you gotta, for being somebody who's like willing to murder a girl for watching you and ratting you to doing cocaine, even though she didn't rat, but she thinks she ratted. She's willing to murder her, but she's not willing to like sort of play the long game. I mean, come on, Tamara, come on. Or Tamara.
We will never get it right. We'll constantly say the wrong thing.
I'm going to keep switching it just so that I know that I'll eventually hit it. I think Tamara makes more sense to me, but Tamara is how I'd say it like in my life. Who gives a shit? What am I doing? What am I doing?
One thing I didn't think about until just now is, so camera guy leaves the room and then Jason comes out of the next room over. Can we imply that he's murdering someone else that we just haven't seen? Because I would think this place has to be full of high schoolers. There's already a group that later on that the English teacher brings into the disco room and is like, wait here. And then that's the last we ever see of them.
I mean, the amount of people we see when the ship leaves the port and they're all like throwing streamers and screaming is a lot, and then immediately it becomes like we don't see anybody. So you're probably right. Though a part of me loves the idea that there's nobody in there and Jason's just sort of like waiting, just sort of just kind of standing there listening. I like the idea of like I always say, like Jason studied bodies. I like the idea of Jason sort of like just sort of cosmically hanging out, waiting for the time. Because it's like, what it's gonna fucking do? He's just gonna like sit there and stare at the wall.
Well, I guess my only logic is that him waiting around, he would then kill the camera guy. He would then follow him, versus him moving to Tamara's room makes me think that it's like in his mind, he's just going room to room.
It's a good point. Just kind of checking it out, doing the recon, seeing who's where. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I had never realized that was even a possibility. So I want that to be true, just because I've always felt that there were more deaths on this that we just didn't see.
I mean, there has to be. Either that or Jason is just being extremely specific in his kills in part 8.
Yeah. On the so the nudity in this, you can absolutely tell that the actress didn't want to show herself, because it's very, very brief and in chunks. And I remember even in Crystal Lake Memories, the only way that they were able to get her to do it was Rob Hedden did it first.
Yeah, got in the shower. Yeah.
Yep. Dude, I'm like, yep, it's not a big deal. Don't worry. I'll do it. So then I do think that's very obvious when you know that, of like, oh yeah, she's very clearly trying to like not show. At one point, she like literally, she's like naked and has her arm up here, like trying to block, where it's like, you're about to die. You wouldn't care about that.
She puts on a robe awkwardly because of that. You're right. And this is actually, I mean, besides, you don't really see anything. You see it through the shower curtain that has blockage, but there is no actual nudity.
No, you see bits and pieces, and then when Jason reaches through the door, he rips off the robe, so you see everything.
I mean, you see if you look, yes, but she's trying to definitely cover it. But like,
it's quick, and then right when she lands to the ground, she's like immediately covering.
But I'm saying, like, yeah, this, I guess I didn't really put it together as much as how this is definitely one of the least horny entries, even though it is sexual. It's weird, like I feel like the entries that I put in the category of being least horny is because there's just no sex. There is sex in there, but it's very 90s. That's, I guess, the best description I could give. But you're right, though. I guess when he rips off a robe is the closest you get, but it's really just like just because she's nude for a second. It's a weird shot now that I'm like really looking at it, because you're right, like every move she makes is in service of not showing you her boobs.
Yeah. As a lover of horror, that's immediately stands out to me, of like, I'm just seeing the filming side, which for me, I don't like that. I don't want to be taken out of the reality of the world, even if it's something like that. Like I want to stay in the reality of the world, and those little moments can kind of ruin it.
Though, let's just say this is a really cool part. Regardless of that, he busts the door, throws her against the mirror. Like, I think something that I mentioned before, maybe to you in private, what I really like is that Jason doesn't just grab the first piece of glass. He looks for the right piece of glass.
The scariest piece.
Yeah, exactly. I like the idea of him being like, nah, yes, like in his mind, he's doing a quick rating. I say he's scanning the glass. Okay, what would be the most bang for my buck? And I think that's kind of weird detail that I love, that nobody really ever wants to discuss because it's dumb, but it's the dumb stuff that I love.
Well, in part 7 had Melissa. She was the final kill, so she lasted a really long time. I think one of the big mistakes that this film makes is Tamara dies at the 38-minute mark. Like, yeah,
she's one of the first couple kills, really.
She should have been dragged along. She should have gone to New York.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then made a stink about having to like run or hide, like just been like an annoying like bitchy
Her in
character.
the alley scene, like, come on, it's perfect. Meanwhile, you have the English teacher who is completely useless in literally the entire movie. She does nothing. The fact that she's an adult is pointless. She should just be replaced by someone like a Tamara, because she doesn't do anything.
No, but we got to give credit though. I love that how they kill her off is so disrespectful and sort of against.
I never everything. Caught it until this viewing.
She actually was murdered by
Rennie.
By Rennie, yes. Yeah. Rennie's a murderer, and I love that. Like that's just it must be through editing or some sort of like reshoot or some sort of cut down, because it really makes no sense. Because you're right, it's like they string her along this entire time, then she's murdered.
Out of nowhere.
It's like, what?
And it's her even getting murdered doesn't make any sense. It's not like, oh, she's caught in the back. Her belt looped onto something. It's just she just doesn't get out of the car with everyone else, and it explodes. Like, wait, why didn't she get out of the car?
And they get over that real quick. I think that's my favorite part. Like, oh no, we gotta go. Let's go.
Yeah,
I love 80s emotions.
Yeah, they didn't seem to give much of a shit. But back to the boat, I always want to bring up. So this is where there's a lot of boat stuff from this point on, in terms of we're just seeing a lot of like the captain and first mate area. We're seeing a lot of that, because even the son, he's there like pretty much the rest of the time after this. But the one thing that always cracks me up with this is that the captain's first mate getting killed, the guy's like motions are all off. It does not match Kane's like stabbing motion. Stabbing? It doesn't, which, you know what? You want to dog Rob Hedden? Those are the moments you can dog Rob Hedden, because that is a moment of like, that should have been, okay, we need another take. We need to take 2, take 3, take 4.
Well, it's all his emotions are delayed. Though I'm going to say this, I think in terms of like composition, how it looks, I actually like that it's sort of the green light, and they have the window panes are like 2 separate ones. In the middle is going to be the wood, so it's like there is this. I don't know. I think the shot looks cool, but you're right though. It's like
the timing.
He stabs a guy, and the guy like waits like 5 Mississippis, then moves.
Yeah, it's like a stage play kind of thing of like, someone clearly didn't say. There needed to be someone offhand saying stab at the moment of stab. That way he knows when to react. Instead, it was like, okay, like we'll do a 3, 2, 1, and then he didn't go on go. He like waited a second and was like, just does not work. And it's really, it stands out to me every single time. It's my least favorite kill of the movie. Easily my least favorite.
Still stylish though. Yeah, at least it's pretty looking, you know. It could have been boring and bad.
True, but then there's a kill that follows up immediately that I think is better. So then with the captain's death, because it has that same great lighting, but then we get the
slow motion
slit,
lower,
which clearly was meant to be slow motion the whole way back, but then they have to cut away to something and then show the end of the shot. But I appreciate it of like, okay, yep, that's a great shot of Jason, because it's like we get to see him fully in frame as he's murdering. Like, it's cool.
Yeah, and I like the lighting in the head of the boat. I mean, in all fairness, that's something we didn't really bring up, but I think besides, and I'll give you the actor not being on time, I do like the look a lot of this. I think in terms of like how the DP handles it, the lights and stuff. Like, it's moody and it works. It's not overly lit. It's not boring.
You just can't start to break it down of like, wait a minute, why is this red light in this boat?
No, I mean, I like, you know, that's where like you'd think that I would love Giallo, because I just love some of those primary weird colors for no reason, you know. No, it makes no sense. Why is the front of the boat or where the captain drives, I don't know what the fuck that's called, the bow, the steer, who knows? I'm not a boat guy.
Yeah.
Boats are for rich people. But yeah, it's like very dark, and it's lit like it's Argento film. Yeah, it's like just green and red.
Yeah.
Okay, why not?
Well, and then we finally get Jason setting up a body again because he sets up the captain on the like wheel of the ship, which is great.
Yes.
And wastes no time at all in the body being discovered. It's like literally the next scene that the son comes across his dead dad, which the son's reaction is just. I don't know. I always cracks me up because he does his best to care, but like it doesn't work. The actor's just real weak. I know that this guy replaced a different actor, but
yeah, he's never been the strongest part of the movie. Like I said, I'm more Rennie. It needed to be a lot more because they even set up like him and his dad have a weird sort of relationship because his dad wants him to sort of take his place and he should know the rules of the sea and, you know, stuff where you're like, oh, you think that's going to pay off with some sort of emotional beat. Surprising.
It does pay off.
I mean, yes, it happens. I don't believe the character at all does anything.
No. They do the pay. So the big payoff. I
meant emotional payoff. Not. I mean, he learns how to. You're saying he actually like used the information to get the boat where they need to go. Yes. I'm saying like the emotional payoff of like. Of him like seeing his dad and sort of coming like that actually could have been like really like deep moment for a Friday the 13th movie. I'm not upset they didn't do it because I mean why the hell would you? No. But but in the movie it's like wow that's like almost like a Flanagan moment we could have had, you know, some like cello strings and the guy just kind of having a moment. But Sean
has a 6-minute monologue.
When I was in the sea once.
No, thank you, Sean. Actually, now that I think of it, maybe that opening radio DJ monologue could be a Flanagan monologue.
I mean, it is a great monologue, you know, sultry and sexy and, it's perfect.
Well, and so Charles being a biology teacher makes a lot more sense with the whole, because he's like, he tells the kids, he's like, I'm in charge here. And Julius is just like, school's out. Like, does not take him seriously at all. It's just like, no, we're dealing with this shit, and goes and deals with stuff. Or then I love that because it's like, yeah, if the biology teacher was just like, hey, I'm in charge, listen to me. They're like, what? Fuck off. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't listen to you ever.
People are dying. Yeah, exactly. I think we have a different set of rules now. Like, we're not. You're not going to suspend me or put me in detention. There's a dead captain.
Yeah. Were you in Vietnam? Because otherwise I don't care what your qualifications are.
But something I want to bring up real quick in this exact scene where they're arguing is we never really mentioned that awesome deckhand that was like the sort of stand-in for Crazy Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to bring up that I love that they brought that type of character back, even if he wasn't used as much as I would have liked. But this is a character that I want in every Jason movie, and that is something that out of all the things that are on the checklist of like, okay, some good nudity, some cool kills, stalking sequences, yada, yada, yada. This should be on there. I want more of these like paranoid, Jason's gonna get you kind of characters going forward. So next thing, what?
But I would say the only thing I'll fight you on is he hears Jason kill someone on the ship, and they're still at port at this point. Why the fuck are you still on that boat? Like, what?
Okay. I mean, okay. How about this? You're right. Only if we had extended sequence of him being like packing his shit like on a rope and a little bit of like a handkerchief.
And then they're go. I would love that.
But, you know, it's like, I know it's not a great example, but at the ending of, oh my gosh, what's the movie with Ethan Hawke? Sinister. Where like he packs shit up and gets in the car and drives the fuck away from the house. Mm-hmm. Like if it was just that and then we never saw the character again, it would have to be sort of like that scene where he's like the Crazy Ralph, realizes it. I mean, it'd almost be too meta for the kind of movie it is, but he packs his shit and then all of a sudden the ship leaves and we have like this like top down shot of him just like looking at port, waving the boat goodbye, and then we never hear from him again. That's how it happened. But if not, I want to stay on there and make vague references and in a ghoulish sort of Vincent Price voice. That's all I want.
I just wish that he didn't die in the way that he does, because it's very anticlimactic, where it's like, I feel like they should have done a little more with him.
No, I agree. I'm saying I love the idea of the character being here. I wish they did more. 100% agree. 100% agree. I just like that archetype of a character, and this is the last time we ever see it.
No.
Besides Crazy Ralph, I just wish we had more of. People should be warning about Jason, and like a Buck Flower type of characters. Only their knowledge of Jason is supersedes anybody else. That's what I want.
Yeah, Jason being a legend is something that I've always liked. But they do, next we get a fake out stalking scene where it seems like Jason might be stalking Rennie. And then it ends up being Charles.
Yes.
Which I love that so Sean's knowledge of boating, I never really drew it into any kind of questioning of it until this time, because I realized he asked Rennie to put the anchor down. They're out at sea, and that's what they need to do during a storm. Yet they later on are like, oh yeah, you got it. We're like, I think I got us back on track. It's like, wait a minute, if the whole plan was to get back on track, then why the fuck did you ever have a plan of putting the anchor down? Because the anchor would not help you get anywhere back on track. The anchor, as a matter of fact, puts you in one spot. So it's like, what kind of logic is that? But again, I know it's mostly just them trying to buy time and then abandon ship when they need to abandon ship. But it's just like, what? Sean doesn't seem to understand this boat that well, or boating in general.
I don't know anything about boating. As I've said before, I'm from the Midwest, and boating's a rich people thing. But I'm curious, because part of me thinks that anchoring during a storm doesn't seem smart, because it seems like, and I just like the logically, and so I looked it up. I'm going to read this to you. Dropping an anchor in a storm can be a risky maneuver, as it may not provide enough holding power to keep the vessel in place. In some cases, it can even cause the anchor to drag and the vessel to drift. So it's like, yeah, it just seems like you're just you might as well just go with the waves, because a boat's meant to rock back and forth, where if you're in place, you might take on water, right? I mean,
yeah.
Come on, bro. Your dad's a captain, dude.
AKA, Charles is right. Charles stops Rennie from putting the anchor down. AKA, Charles is the hero of this movie. I've made my case.
Well, I was on Charles' side regardless of his boat knowledge. I mean, with that sort of like demeanor, I'm always going to believe a guy like that, you know? You were girls doing drugs. It's like, I like him. I like him.
When they do the Kelly Hu, also, she gets murdered, because it almost feels like the director is like, oh shit, we got to murder people.
I love this kill. I like the directing. I like the editing. This is teleporting Jason, but I think how they do it's really cool, because it's her perspective, and it's zooming around. He's just kind of popping in place, getting closer. And a great example of a brute force kill where it's just break your neck, which is actually kind of boring, but the angle in which they do it, the directing of it's really cool. And my favorite part is the absolute dickish toss when he's done with her. Single shot, hitting the floor. I feel it every time. I've always defended this part. I love it.
Yeah, it works well. I think that it would be a more memorable kill if the character herself was more memorable. I think that's one of the reasons, that because she's so forgettable. I as well as many other people just refer to her as Kelly Hu, because
I mean, I always thought she was cute, so I remember it really well. I mean, I know that sounds bad, but when you're a kid, if you find somebody attractive, you tend to remember her more. So this is like one of the kills I remember. I don't even know her name though. I mean, in all fairness, I don't know anybody's name in these movies. I have to actually look them up. Besides Charles, Bernie Lomax, Tina, and
Alice, probably.
Alice, Tommy Jarvis. Like, I don't really know any names, but she's
I know
cute,
Creighton Duke from Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, you see, I don't even know that.
See, so I guess maybe I do know a little more than I.
You seem name centric. Yeah, you're a name guy.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But the toss is cool, and that's the big thing here. I think it's actually her. I think in the documentary they said she did that fall, which is, I mean, why? I feel like that must be like something I'm not understanding correctly. Why the hell would that actress take that fall?
I assume because like other people were doing stunts, or Kane doing his own stunts in some instances, where it's like, I can do it.
There's no give to the floor. I don't know, man. I that's something that I'm fascinated with because it looks like it hurts.
Yeah, as someone with a bad back, I would always be taking a stunt person.
Who am I trying to impress? How much do I make? Fuck off. Yeah. It's like from the back also. So yeah, why are you doing this, man? Come on, be cool. Cool.
Yeah. And so then Sean is essentially on boat duty and he's just in that little area trying to get everything back on track. But Julius and the homies trying to hunt down Jason because I love it so much. And I say Julius and the homies because the other people, I don't think they have any names other than just being macho guys who think that they can or take care of the situation, which obviously they don't. Yeah. And this is the worst instance of the whole Jason teleporting. Because at one point, this guy, I think this is the guy with the axe that then Jason takes the axe, throws it, and then it lands like by Julius. But it's close enough that Julius is like more confused of like, oh, wait, where'd this axe come from? But not close enough that he can actually see what's happening. So then Jason chases this guy. This guy climbs up a post and like, it does not make sense how quickly Jason gets up to him. None of it makes sense.
He teleports him and throws him off onto the weather van. Though it's cool though. It's a cool shot. But no, that is absolute teleportation. That's not there's no way he's getting past him. I mean the implication of that is hilarious. It's like cartoon like
yeah. Doesn't and there's not enough time in between because they do go to another shot, but there's not enough time on that other shot for Jason to have climbed. It's a very, very confusing as to why they would even, I don't know. But then again, I don't think they were thinking much about logic and placement of deaths. It's more of just death.
I mean, I always took it as like I'm clearly making excuses, but to me, this is more Jason's this monster and that he doesn't play by the same rules. I mean, it's very loose and fast and makes enough sense, but I'm more okay with it in later movies just because, fucking it's a monster. No. But no, you're right. You're right, though. I mean, for it to make sense would be the dumbest thing ever, though. I would love to see him just like triple speed past the guy that isn't like he looks over and Jason just sort of climbs up above him, That's how it would have to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind just some kind of, I like when there's a little bit of thought put into these, so that kill always annoys me. But I do like Julius finding his body it's interesting visual. So I'd give it to them for that.
And the whole scene is like very, as coming out for 7 is very actiony. The bottom of the boat is flooding. Like there's cool stuff going on. Stuff that where you can see the budgets happening. Yeah. And again, is it a dumb kill? Absolutely. But the directing of it, I like the look of the boat rocking. I like the moodiness of it. If you're going to do some dumb, at least make it look nice. And I'd fight you on that, at least to say I think it looks cool. Yeah. Fake rain and lightning and shit,
Yeah, looks all right. Then he throws Julius into the water after that, which I do like that. See, even Jason knows, like, yep, throw people into the ocean. That's good as killing them.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't do that because he wanted to stun him. He did it because it was like, okay, the storm, the wave size, it should be good enough.
He just didn't realize that Julius was a D1 athlete that could swim.
I know. If he threw Rennie or anybody else in the water, he'd be gold. But he threw like the most in shape, sort of tough macho guy out there.
Yep. And then this is my favorite aspect of the film, and that's because it's just so burned into my mind, and that is Jason trying to get to Rennie through the porthole.
Busting through.
I saw that image as a kid. I remember seeing it on the back of the
back of the cover.
Yep, it's
VHS. Yeah.
They used alternate shots, like when they have a set photographer on that takes photographs that are it's like a slightly different angle than the angle we know from the film.
Yes,
I remember that from this. I saw that image years before I ever saw this movie. So it's like, as a kid, you could pretty much create a whole backstory to this image, and it made me even more terrified of Jason. So then when I did watch it as a kid and was like, oh, it's the worst Jason movie. God damn it. But obviously I was a dumb kid, so wasn't able to see the nuances of this one. But it's just such an iconic shot. It looks incredible.
It's cool. But you brought up something, though, I want to just spend a quick second on. And I do think that's just what makes us, and every era is different, of course. But you make a very good point. The amount of times you would look at a cover, front and back, and not rent it at that time, that's what you did. You'd spend all your time, because you could only get maybe at max, for me, 3 movies, pretty much all I would be allowed to rent at a time for my parents. So, I would see a cover 30, 40 times before I ever picked it up, just because it was just about time and place. Mm-hmm. And so that image, you're absolutely right. I don't remember when I rented it, actually, in my life. I mean, I knew it was a little kid, but I don't know in what order. Yeah. It's probably out of order, but I know exactly what you're talking about. It was like center right, I believe, maybe. And it's such a cool, iconic shot because his monster sort of like flesh rotting arm, black glove around her neck. It is, I mean, in the movie, she just kind of gets away, but you're right, though. In terms of a static shot, that to me is truly iconic. And I wish more people would admit that, because a lot of people talk to you about the movie, but it's like, yeah, but that's a really cool looking, looking shot that should, people should say nicer things about Jason 8, actually. I think that's my big thing. Even if you hate a lot of this stuff or think it's dumb, this movie does have a cool look. And that's a great example of, blocking a shot to make it look sort of monstrous and threatening.
Yeah, I want to see a remake of this film, or like maybe not even a remake, just Jason on a boat again, and they can do it where they do the ending of Nightmare on Elm Street. Jason grabs someone through the porthole and then violently pulls them through, and their body breaks along the way. Like there's a lot of potential there that I would love.
And since we're about to leave the boat, I do want to say, I've mentioned this in many videos I've done. I understand that the Takes Manhattan part pisses people off because he's not really taking Manhattan as much as he's just visiting. But as I've stated through this entire podcast, at this point, I'm okay with seeing Jason somewhere else besides the woods, because that's all I've ever seen. So the boat atmosphere, as you mentioned earlier, is cool for slashers. There's a lot of rooms and different sort of set designs you could go with it. So yes, I wish he's in the city more, but the boat's a great idea. If the boat movie was all on a boat, that'd be awesome. I want Jason at different places at this point. Trapped. Fucking boats. Exactly. People are trapped in a boat with a killer monster that can't be stopped. That's a cool idea. And for the most part, I think we both agree they did a pretty good job. Yeah. With the boat atmosphere, the boat setting, man.
Yeah, I think slashers in general have the issue of, why the fuck are these characters not just running away, driving away, doing this or that? So when you trap characters, it causes a lot of your logical fallacies to not be there. Like it's blown my mind that we don't have more winter slashers, like a slasher that's set in the middle of a blizzard, where it's like, yeah, you have a party, but then a blizzard happens, and guess what? Everyone's trapped at the house. Shit like that. It's like, because people being trapped, it just makes it makes sense. It makes more sense as to why, when bodies start being discovered, why it doesn't work. And also you get rid of the cell phone issue nowadays with being on a boat. You're on a boat out at sea. Guess what? You're not gonna have a fucking signal. Put slashers on boats and in blizzards. Yes. That is what I'm saying.
Yesterday it was by you, -27. How about you put that in a ski resort? Yes. -27 is going to kill all the power. And let's just say, because there's no power, there's no cell signal, because you're in the middle of Wisconsin. And so if it's -27, you're at a ski resort and Jason's there. You're not running. Not in that weather, you will die. Your car won't start because the battery's dead. I just solved all the problems. Now we have a cool, atmospheric place to kill kids off that is now completely explained why they're not just leaving. You can go outside. Good look. Have fun.
We've talked about how adding tertiary or secondary villains really helps out with this series. what better villain is the environment? Like you would literally have the environment working against them, where then they in a lot of instances, it's like, oh, why not just like stay still? Everyone just huddle in this room. Or then it's like, well, guess what? That room isn't warm enough. You have to worry about getting heat, like actually being able to stay not an ice cube. There's many different ways that can be interesting.
Dude, you're just 100% right, man. Put Jason on one of the islands in the Keys. Why is there? Who gives a shit? Get him there. All of a sudden, it's a Category 5 hurricane. You're not getting through the roads. There's no cell towers. Things are flooding. I mean,
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing? I don't like that we're not just actively making cool Jason movies.
Someone needs to hire us to just exclusively make really cool Friday the 13th movies. I will live that life.
yeah. And it'll be a hard track, but I'm willing to do it for free or damn near free. You know, pay for my meals.
Exactly. Pay for the weed and alcohol that it would take to get through the writing process, and I'm right there with you.
All right, we're gonna team up, Tyler. We're gonna write one. But I want to mention real quick that I've always loved the fog when they're sort of towing away, because it reminds me of the TriStar intro for some reason. Like that exact look. Dude, it should be like a horse jumping through.
I love that they did that, because they clearly do it in order to simulate a vast ocean. It's like their low budget way to then, because clearly probably shore was like, 50 yards away, where then they're like, shit, we got to figure out how we can make it look like a vast ocean. And nowadays it's like, yep, there's a tank nearby in Atlanta that's fully
a green screen.
Fully green screen, that then they can literally put them in the middle of the ocean. So then I love that it's just fog. It's appealing. And the fact that it is just fog too, it adds to the whole, how the hell is Sean gonna direct them towards land?
It adds a survival stress, which is a cool little way to sort of keep the tension up.
Yeah.
But also, budgetary reasons, not have to put Jason in the shot. So, okay, let's have a good 10-minute sequence of them having to sort of deal with being lost in the ocean. And as somebody who loves the ocean and absolutely fears it, I am sympathetic to like this part. It makes me nervous.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that I'm the same way, where I don't like the ocean. It's terrifying to me. So this actually gets me. I've been more anxious during more recent watches when I think about the implications of, them being out at sea.
We're older. It's scarier.
Yeah, it's so much scarier. And finally, 1 hour and 3 minutes into the film, our characters arrive at New York City, which we got that cool little intro, like with the New York. So I don't know. I'm not super upset about it.
But here's the thing. We are on the same page where it's like, yes, I wish I had more New York, but that's not the movie it is. And then we know why. So I feel like those two reasons are always my big argument against people. It's like, okay, but we know why, and we know the sort of the reasoning. So the movie as is works. We get a cool boat scene, cool boat kills, cool boat atmosphere, and then we get to New York. Okay, we're in an alley most of the time, but at least that's a little bit different. We don't see a lot of alley kills are new to me.
Yeah,
there's like junkies and toxic waste barrels. Like, fuck it, why not, man? It's been woods for 7 movies. I don't know. I just don't get how people can appreciate a little something different, even if it's not what you want.
We've talked in the past in regards to, I think it was with part 5, where it's like, yep, since we watched it after the fact, it's hard to put ourselves in the shoes of those who were watching these on release and going and seeing like, wait, that's a copycat killer? What the fuck? And like that annoyance. So It's like, yes, I understand, especially when, probably the most iconic poster in the whole franchise, the I Love New York with Jason bursting through it, that then they had to get rid of because they were threat, like litigation by the city of New York. But it's brilliant, and it is called Jason Takes Manhattan. So I understand. And I haven't watched the original trailer to see just how much they lie.
Okay, but I guess the argument I'm making is I understand the initial anger. I really do. But like anything else, it's like there's albums that are instant classics now that when they came out were dogged. But the revaluation is where you kind of find the gems, where you get to kind of leave, your sort of at the time feelings. And I feel this is a good example of like, I completely understand why at the time to be bothered by it. 30, 40 years later, I want to be like, I'm not saying it has to be somebody's favorite, but I actually do not understand why this gets ranked as low as it does this many years later, because the excuse that people have, it's like that only would have worked the year it came out and maybe 5 years after, because that's still a live, notable thing. But this many years later, you can't look back on this and be like, okay, it's not New York, but this, and this. That's my big thing. And only because it's ranked so low. If this was like, oh, it's my 4th, 5th favorite, I'd be like, oh, cool. But people are like, oh, they put this fucking under hell. I'm like, I can't live in that world. I don't know. I don't agree. I don't understand.
No, I'm right there with you. And I think that a lot of it is just people being unaccepting of change and something a little different, because this one is just a little different. And I think that that's not a great excuse for why people don't give it another shot. But also, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was in a very similar boat. And so it does make me wonder of like, oh, we just need a documentary that then explains to people why this actually is a decent movie, like we got with the Scream Queen.
It's true, and that has helped, but that also makes me annoyed that like people are now liking it more just because of the social aspects, where it's like, even I, before the documentary came out, started liking it more because it's like, okay, whatever, it's not exactly the movie I would have made, it's something I really wanted, but as this unique, interesting entry that tried to do something different, I could appreciate it. And that's where I wish people would kind of come along more. I also think, though, as you mentioned with Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I think Jason Takes Manhattan is cool to hate.
Yeah.
It's like you're part of the group.
Yeah.
More than, funny enough, Jason Goes to Hell. Like, a lot of people hate Jason Goes to Hell, me included. But for some reason, 8 is the one where, like, as a society, we're all like, okay, it's okay to dunk on this one.
As soon as something gets memed on, it's really hard to come back from, because, famous example, and this movie is terrible, but Morbius, everyone memed on that Morbius movie like crazy, where then it's like, people have opinions of the movie that haven't even seen it. So as soon as something gets to meme status, it's like they can't. I feel like it's this very similar thing that happened with, The Flash and Exorcist Believer, where as soon as there just starts to be this like online, just like everyone just loves to team up and bash something, there's a ton of people that then they don't even see the product and they just join the bashing. They're like, I've read enough about why this is bad. So then they just like carry that opinion over. I think that happens with this film a lot.
I love that you brought that up, because I feel like online discourse, especially like sort of film analyzation, even though analyzation is probably not the correct word because it's a little too deep.
Analysis?
Analysis, yeah, I guess that's what I'm looking for. With film analysis, I feel like everything now is, here's why this movie you love is bad, or here's why this movie you love is troubled or problematic, or I don't know. I just, there's a weird thing now where I feel I personally, my go-to instinct when I read a lot of stuff is, why can't you have some fucking fun? And again, if you don't have to have fun with everything, and you can hate shit, I hate shit all the time, but I'm far more, I think, even tempered now in my older age, where I'm like, okay, this ain't for me, but clearly this is for somebody, where Jason 8 and a lot of these things where it's just like this, it's not good, and this is why. It's like, it's Jason 8. It's not, it ain't Shawshank Boss, but it gives you all the key ingredients you love. And again, it maybe not be your best, but the amount of people that hate on this does, as you said, seem like more of a pylon to be a part of a group than it does of people actually having distinct hatred for it, which again, a lot of people probably have reasonable reasons, but the amount of hate I see makes me question how much is real and how much is just people jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I think that that's very much a big issue that we as just a society are going through. Because, I mean, you go on Letterboxd and most of the reviews are like these little 1-sentence, 2-sentence things that are clearly just meant to elicit a laugh versus actually commenting something valuable about the film. So, like, absolutely, people, unfortunately, when you said too of like, there needs to be more people understanding that, yeah, this movie wasn't for them. So, because there's a ton of people who are like, I'm not into slashers. Now let me tell you why Friday the 13th sucks. It's like, I don't care about your opinion of why Friday the 13th sucks. You already said you don't like slashers.
I've probably seen 3 Marvel movies, maybe 4 in my lifetime. I am not going to be the guy that's going to get on my high horse and type about why Phase 4 didn't work. It's like, what the fuck do I know? I'm opinionated and I can tell you my opinion, but like, it shouldn't hold much weight because I've established that it's not my bag. It ain't my genre. But people seem very comfortable with doing exactly what I just said I wouldn't do. I think that's a big issue with film criticism now. It's also like blog culture and influence culture. We're in a really odd time for movies, and it's been like this for a little bit. Actually, it's not something new. I'm hoping we're actually at the end of it, if I'm being honest, but I do not know, because I feel like distinct eras are not as distinct this late in my life. I feel like things blend together a little too much. You know, like 80s and 90s, there seems like more of a hard line, whereas like you really tell me it's a hard line between 2010 and 2020.
To be fair, the only argument that I will use in that is there was I remember being in the 2000s and being like, why? There's not a distinct 2000s-iness to it. And now that we're in 2024, it's like, oh, there is definitely a distinct 2000s-ness to films. So I think there is something there. We just won't be able to fully understand like, yep, this is the 2010s until we're in like the 2030s.
Okay, I'm not going to fight you on that. You might be correct, but I don't know if it'll be as distinct in terms of like criticism and stuff. I don't know. I'm more worried about that bleeding through more. But no, you are right, because I could tell now. I've been watching some classic 90s stuff, dramas and romantic comedies, and there's little things where I'm like, oh, that's a very 90s thing to do right now. And it's something that, you're right, I would have really thought of 12, 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, I don't know. I think about that a lot with just, I don't know, especially the 2000s has just become an era that I'm realizing that I really love for the same reasons that I love the 90s and the 80s, is like the cheesiness of it. So I'm finding a lot of enjoyment in the same way that I found the dumb stuff of the 90s and 80s, that now I'm like, yep, this is the dumb stuff of the 2000s and I'm all about it.
Well, I'm hoping criticism changes. I really do, or at least becomes a little more relaxed. I feel like that's something that bothers me a lot more now. Nuance is all but dead. And, you have to actually like align with everything in a movie and or director or actors. That always annoyed me, and it annoys me more now, where it's like, well, Charles, once said he doesn't like this, so I don't know if I could watch that movie. I'm like, I couldn't give a shit. He plays a villain and has red hair and dies in a toxic waste. I don't care what, I don't need to know his opinions on, Iraq. I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, it's like Charles would absolutely be supporting political ideals that I do not agree with, just based on the fact that he's an old white dude. So it's like, I would not let that get in the way of my enjoyment of Charles. Like, he's great. He's great in this film. And guess what? He is an actor. And that is all that I need from him, is being great in this one film of his that I rewatch yearly.
Exactly. It must be exhausting to have to sort of line up with everything else on your sort of system of beliefs. I just feel like it's like, man, I'm just trying to enjoy a movie. I couldn't give a shit at all. And again, I don't know Charles. He might be a great guy. I mean, he's passed, so who knows?
Yeah.
The moral, the story is that I couldn't give a shit about anybody in these movies and what they think, what they believe, except for what they do on screen. As long as they don't kill babies or puppies, they're really that sad. Let's just show up to work, do your job. Let me watch your movie and have a good time. And I love Charles, so I'm really hoping he's a decent guy because, like, you know, I've really leaned into the Charles love in this episode, so I don't need to find out that, like, you know, he was like pro-slavery, like or something stupid like that. Like, I'm like, come on. I'm not going to look into it though because I don't want to know. I'm gonna hope my guy from Naked Gun 2 is a decent dude.
I mean, he passed away long enough where it's like, okay, no one dig up any dirt on him.
Once you're dead, it's like you can't cancel him. He's dead.
Yeah, he's super
leave the
dead.
guy alone.
No reason to go after him. Okay, let's get into this. Is, I would say, everyone's favorite part of the film, which is the final stretch in New York. I think it pretty much starts off strong with Jason seeing the billboard of himself. I mean, it's a hockey player, but it's Jason.
His mask, yeah. And I like it. This is the kind of humor that is really not in this movie, but that's very part 6.
Very.
Part 6. I don't know. I hate saying part 6 2 times, but yes, it is part 6 influence. And I do wish there's more of it, but I'm glad that at least we get a little bit here.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we got anything like this in number 7, actually. So.
No, yeah, it was definitely a lot more. Not a lot more. I wouldn't even say serious because it does have a less serious tone. But yeah, it doesn't. It's very serious when it comes to Jason. Jason's not winking.
There's no meta-ness in 7, and this there's not either, except for that one part. Yeah. But I've always liked that part, and so I'm here to defend it.
Yeah, and I love too that they run into these gangbangers right away. Feels very apropos because New York City was an absolute shithole in the 80s, and so this just works for me. It wouldn't, if this was happening in like 90s, 2000s, it wouldn't quite have the same flair, but 70s, 80s New York, like, no, I know what a shithole that is, so it works.
Yeah, they're telling you that New York is so dangerous that if you are here for less than a minute, you're getting robbed.
Yeah.
And it's also hilarious because they rob them and then kidnap a girl, which really escalates. It's like, I understand mugging, but like kidnap and rape real quick. I'm like, wow. New
escalates. I mean, is Rennie getting injected with heroin one of the absolute craziest things that Friday the 13th has ever done, or what?
Well, hold on. Inject with heroin. Before that, he tries to kill the dog. So they're going to kidnap her, rape her, try to murder the dog, inject with heroin, and then just to sum all of it up, I love that she is the first one that needs to drive the car. It's like, out of everybody here, I love that she's in the driver's seat. It's like, you're goddamn right.
Yeah. Well, the
she's feeling real loosely.
Heroin looks like toxic sludge, too. I mean, obviously, I've never done heroin, but I've watched enough Breaking Bad and The Wire. Where it's like, I know what this looks like. And that is, not only is that way too much, like, she's ODing from that amount, but it's like, it's way too colorful and gross.
Let's be very clear. These guys don't work for a network. There is no stringer bell above them making sure that they're getting things done right. These are clearly independent contractors in the gang business, you know?
Well, and this means, too, that Rennie, our lead, our final girl, is high on heroin for the rest of the movie.
I mean, she's definitely feeling very confident and very relaxed. It is funny because also they take away the main character.
Yeah,
you know, now we're I mean, it's a weird thing to do because it's almost like a weird detour, and I guess they're doing it because they needed to waste time.
Yeah,
but if you really kind of analyze the scene, it's strange that she, like, I understand if like they got robbed and then the guys run away like it's Batman and Jason kills those two guys. That makes more sense. But we have this side plot where, like, yeah, they basically get her high and try to rape her. And it's over so quickly. It's like, I'm not against it because it's so ridiculous, but I guess in terms of structure, it is a very odd
dude, every aspect of it is weird. Even you saying that just made me realize it makes Jason into the hero because he saves Rennie from getting raped.
Jason becomes the hero. Yeah. The guy that murdered all those innocent teens, like, becomes the toxic Avenger for a little bit of the movie.
Which I mean, I'm all about. I like that they did it because it's dumb. And I love when this series is dumb because I don't know. I get a kick out of it because what other series has someone getting injected with heroin? Our final girl. Imagine Laurie Strode getting like injected with heroin. I mean, she
nice heavy dose.
Yeah, with how she acts in Halloween 2. I mean, you pretty much consider her being high on heroin would be very similar, but this is I don't know. It works very well for me, and again, I think it showcases too The Mask. And like The Mask stands out so much in these alley scenes.
The way it's lit is very cinematic. Yeah, he stabs, because here's the thing, he stabs the drug dealer that's trying to like rape her through the stomach with the needle, and then leaves Rennie alone, and then he goes after the other guy. So it isn't just a matter of convenience. He is leaving Rennie alone. He's going to try to kill her later, but like he is right now in hero mode.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And I love every aspect of it.
Yeah, which then goes to Julius because apparently they all get separated. And this is, again, the whole Jason can teleport thing because, I mean, you know how cities are. You can get very far away from someone in a city very, very quickly. And so the fact that he's able to just like get all of these people, it's like, oh, now to this person, now to that person.
Yeah, they all split up and you know, I mean, again, I don't know how much of New York is actually on the grid, but I know it's not like the South where everything's just a nest. So yeah, nobody's that far apart.
Yeah.
Really, if somebody just yelled loudly a name, somebody'd be like, over here.
Well, and I'd argue too that when they're at Crystal Lake, you're in Jason's playground. You're in a place that he has a lot of experience in. So it makes sense of like, oh yeah, he knows he can hide here. He knows he can do this here. New York, this is his first time. So he is all just improv everything. And I don't know. I think it's really great because it kind of, I think it's a reason why we see Jason being a lot more angry in the end than we kind of usually see. Because he's just like,
he's frustrated.
Yeah, because he's angry, but it's not like he's killing people. He's like throwing people into walls, kicking jukeboxes and stuff. So like, he just seems to be pissed off more than anything.
I mean, as somebody who has to deal with city traffic in his life, I understand. I do also want to give Jason credit for a sense of direction. You know, for the first time being in New York, I think he handles it quite well. Clearly, he understands the subway system, the connecting lines. You know, I mean, I don't know. Let's just give Jason a little credit. He's actually very smart in this for being able to navigate the city, and his frustration makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
because I would also be just as upset as I've always been driving down. I mean, yeah, God, I mean, this is New York, but I mean, ever drove down Lower Wacker Drive? I mean, I've wanted to murder many of people, so I get it. I get it.
Well, and I want to bring up something that I just noticed in the because Julius before he gets on the roof, he's in the telephone booth, which I love. It's a great shot with Jason coming up behind and smashing through, but the glass doesn't break properly at first when he pushes through, and it's not until Julius's arm catches it on the rebound that the sugar glass shatters.
You're right; it just becomes like one or two big pieces. Oh, good eye.
Yeah, I had never noticed that before, and it just, I don't know, that kind of thing is I love filmmaking mistakes that aren't technically mistakes. Where then it's like, because nowadays that wouldn't happen. They would notice it in post and they would be like, put
cracking,
effects house, you can add the cracking. It'll take 20 grand out of the budget. Like, okay, we'll do that. Like, that doesn't happen because nowadays they do that, but back then they're like, nope, we can't. We just got to deal with it.
Well, because it was good enough. And you're right, though. Like, if you're looking, you'll notice it. But that's a good example of it does still break. We still get the feeling from it. It just, on the technical side, if you're really looking for it, you'll realize it. So, yeah, they're like, why shoot it again? And I can appreciate that sort of old school, guerrilla filmmaking. I mean, I know it's not really guerrilla, but still, it's still a budget movie for the time. They're just like, hey, let's go. Vamonos.
Yeah, and I would have preferred the Jason and Julius boxing like it was originally intended to be in Madison Square Garden in a boxing ring, though. I don't know how how that happens, how that gets set up. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
I mean, that always to me seemed like something that was wishful thinking. Like, you're going to rent out Madison Square Garden for a scene. I mean, maybe it just seems expensive, time consuming. It seems like there's a lot of legality and red tape.
Logically, how do you get the characters into Madison Square Garden?
I mean, well, I think they would do the same way they get everywhere, where like they get out of an alley and they're just in front of it, you know, because there's no good geography in New York. They're like, oh, they're in Manhattan, they're in the Bronx, they're everywhere. It's all connected. They just like that.
I guess my thing is like, but how do they get in to the Madison Square Garden? Because like there's security, there's locked. They're gonna then go into the middle of like they're to the boxing ring to then
Okay, yeah, you want to get that logical, sure.
Well, because anywhere else, it's like they're just in areas that regular people can go. But then with Madison Square Garden, where I'm like, wait, what? No, doesn't, unless it's like unless it's actually happening during an event, which then you need a ticket to. I don't know. I'm thinking too hard into this.
How about this? It's closed, and and Julius gets on the roof. Jason chases him, and then jumps on the roof, goes through like one of those rooftop doors. And then he's in Madison Square Garden. That could you do that? You know, I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that's how he gets in, gets him from the top. It's still closed.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll take it.
I'm just, I mean, you know, I guess that's how I would do it if I was writing this. I'd just be like, you know, like I don't win. This is a weekend script, right? So he walks into the roof.
Well, and Julius getting too tired is also, I think, really stupid because we've already established that this man can. Well, I mean, I guess maybe him swimming out at the ocean. Doesn't have the energy. Doesn't have any calories left to burn. So, you know what? I take back my annoyance with him getting tired.
I actually kind of liked it because at least it's in terms of edit, it does take a little longer for him to get tired. So I'm willing to believe like he's giving everything he has. And that basically endurance is what does him in. It's not, you know, Jason catches him on a wrong hit and kills him. It's just he lets him actually run out of energy, which I always think is kind of funny. Like Jason is oddly patient in this exact kill. He just sort of lets it happen, lets the guy do his thing. I mean, this is also an iconic kill, which I think people that even hate the movie defend this kill because you got the POV cam, it gets in the garbage. The whole thing's goofy as can be, but it's great.
Well, and the best part about it is when it hits the lid and the lid drops down. Or it's like it's so good. Yeah. Which doesn't does Julius, the head gets brought up later, right? Doesn't Jason use it? He goes, that means he comes down, grabs it, holds onto it, puts in the police car. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He loves putting severed heads places.
Well, he loves moving it too. And I think that's important, you know, which means that there's always some sort of scene where he's kind of carrying it around. And I appreciate that, like, that has to happen. There's no backpack. He's in the fucking fanny pack. Yeah. He has to hold the head and sort of traverse the city streets, the alleys. I love it. Yeah. I love the idea that he's moving stuff. I'm really big on that. I want to see him move something. I'm going to write a movie where like one scene, Jason, like wide shot is like dragging a body across and we know that he's going to like put it above like a door frame. Yeah, I'd love. I mean, because he does it in so many. I mean, I'm even thinking the remake, he sets up bodies. So yeah, I would love it. Yeah, show me once, and it'll be like one of those like meta nods of like we're kind of supposed to laugh at it, you know, because it's gonna be goofy to look at it. But I would love it anyway. Yeah, and then they do like Rennie catches up with. Did we skip over Charles's death? No, because they all meet together, and then the car crash happens, killing the teacher for no good reason. Because remember, she's high, and then she's the one that jumps in the driver's seat, which I think I see Charles in the back of the car. Comes from the confidence that only heroin can give you. Maybe that's why. You know what? Is the heroin giving her the visions of Jason? But she wasn't high in the boat, but but these visions. That could be. It could be. I mean, she's the reason the car crashes and murders the teacher. Yeah. Like it's literally her fault. It's nobody's fault but her own because she drives like full force high off her ass into the wall. Yeah. Well, this could be 100% just me I don't know. I could be crazy, but I don't think it's Kane that does the car hit. When she initially hits him with the car, I don't think something about that guy's body composition does not look like Kane. So if any of our listeners know, please
please let me know. It's when Rennie hits him with the car. Because I don't know, something about his body composition doesn't look right.
Well, I should say though, and you might want to cut it. So he's a child when she drives at him.
It's just before that.
Yeah, so he pulls the Canadian cop into the alley, and then when it gets that really goofy slow motion, it's because he is a deformed child.
No. I know. She hits him right before that. There's two. She sees Jason, and then she sees the deformed Jason.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I'm
something about
gonna watch with you.
Yeah, something about his body type doesn't look like Kane Hodder. So it was just one thing I noticed where I was like, "Ooh, that doesn't seem like Kane." I'd never caught it before.
I was gonna be like, I don't think Kane's the kid, buddy. Maybe he was. Fucking some dumb ass.
Oh no, trust me. I was literally watching it as I had said it, so that's why I knew it was the case.
I can't tell honestly. You're better probably at that kind of stuff than I am.
True, I noticed the body composition. Jason Lives. That's what I pay attention to.
I still don't think. I don't still think that bitch tits was that big. I'm gonna defend that poor guy. He's not that fat.
His name is Bitch Tits for a reason.
Well, Bitch Tits, you have a defender in me, buddy.
Well, we have,
I should say you have a friend in me. That makes more sense.
You go. Well, Rennie hits the wall, and for some reason,
nobody helps the teacher out.
Yeah, Mrs. Moffat doesn't get out of the car, and she gets killed. I don't understand the logic in where they just like, oh, we got to get rid of her. Oh, just say she was in the car. Like, it doesn't.
I never understood it. But I also love that in the 80s, cars would blow up by any sort of damage.
Yeah.
You know, like God forbid a headlight goes out, the car blows up. So part of me just is like, well, you know what? They needed a car explosion, and like, well, we could like get a death out of it too.
Yeah, she just doesn't exit the car.
No, we didn't really. I don't think we even see a good shot of her in the back.
Nope.
It's just implied.
Yeah, there's no shot of her in the back, even when they're getting out. That's why it makes me wonder of like, was there a mistake?
Yeah, like something happened. It could have been like a fix it in post.
Or cut out where it's like she actually died, like Jason kills her, but then they're like, we have a hair on the screen during that whole sequence, like on the camera lens. So it's like, just say she died in this.
Yeah, no, it looks like, now you say it, it looks and feels like a fix it in post thing. I wonder, and I mean, they never mentioned the documentary, but that could be one of those things that, yeah, I'd like to actually read the script and see like what her death was in the script, just to see if anything changed. But my favorite part, though, is that right afterwards, instead of people freaking out, she just has like a vision about her uncle throwing her in the lake. Like, she gets over it real quick.
Dude.
No, it's a cool transition.
I was just about to say, the transition is very cool because it's like she's staring at this puddle with all the fire around it. And then you just see the image of her and Charles in the boat, and it like appears in the puddle. Like, that is an awesome shot. You cannot.
Yeah, it's a composition. I wonder how they did that, because it's so smooth that you can't see any edges. It is a really good shot, man. I don't know.
Yeah, very, very impressive. Maybe it was just because of them shooting the water. The only thing that stood out was the boat. So then they were able to then just do a low opacity on it, where then the water didn't show through, but the boat did.
Yeah.
So it's incredible. And it also, we finally get more insight into why Charles and Rennie don't like each other.
Though I wonder, though, after seeing this as much as I had, I understand why she hates him. I don't get why he hates her, though. Like, she just don't want to jump in the lake. But I also, real quick, I want to mention that I in an era of de-aging and all this weird BS, I love the idea that just like, he's 20 years younger or whatever, and he's the exact same. It's the same reason why, like, when Saw, I don't know which one it is, but where they just put him in a backwards baseball cap and he's like younger, and they're just like, that's good enough. That's the vibe I'm getting here, and I love it. It's just like, not even try. They didn't make his hair even like warmer. It's just, he looks the same and good. Charles has been forever old. That's the vibe I'm getting.
I just want to bring up real fast, I was able to bring up the baseball cap to the creators of Saw. Like,
what
the
did they
producers.
say? I mean, I know we all make fun of it, but I always it's charming.
It's a joke, even with production of it's very much a joke, even in production of like just, yep, this is what we did this one time.
Backwards baseball cap.
I mean, I assume that when you're making films that quickly,
sure, they just, who cares?
Yeah, it's like whatever. Which I don't care. It's fine by me.
No, we established Charles is an asshole. Yeah. I don't care if he's not aged a day. As far as I'm concerned, he's looked 65 for most of his life. You know,
but
I mean, it's like Steve Martin. Steve Martin, I love, but with his gray hair, Steve Martin pretty much looks 50 forever.
But,
you know,
but this did make me think, though. We've seen several people that are just casually hanging out at Crystal Lake. Yet people have been getting murdered here for decades at this point. So whether it's Tina and her parents just hanging out at the lake, or Rennie and her third summer coming down with her uncle, like what is happening? Why is everyone so comfortable being on this lake when people are constantly getting murdered here?
This nice idyllic little countryside is essentially the Cabrini Green of lakes, and everybody just accepts it.
No.
It's like the body count is off the charts. Well, I know, it's like, listen, yes, do people die here a lot? Sure, but it's lovely.
It's lovely. It's
lovely.
It's funny to me just because it fucks with the timeline for me personally. Because I'm like, wait a minute, are they referring to Jason? Like, is Jason being down on the lake? Is that from as a child, or is it the Jason being down on the lake that we know him as?
I always took it as like a hallucination because it wouldn't make sense. But I also am fully willing to admit that this movie probably is saying that, no, he's down there as like a ghost. But it makes no sense. Nothing makes sense. All it does is just make me confused and my head hurts.
Because the whole Tina thing, it's
10 years after part 6.
So then this girl, this would be years after 7 at least. I would say at least a year. I don't think we get much of an indication. And Rennie's graduating. So if she had then grown up and gone to Camp Crystal Lake, I would think that it would be after Jason actually, like, hockey mask Jason is tied up and down there.
It would have to be, actually, because let's put her and Tina around the same age. And they look around the same age as kids, too. I mean, like, we're around, like, what, like 8 to 10, probably?
Yeah. Which the timeline where it's like, so, like, scary Jason would be down there, not, like, hallucinatory Jason.
No. It also gives us the coolest in-universe thing. Like, everybody's at this lake around the same time.
Yeah.
This the same, like, 8 years, like, every character ever.
Yep.
No, it makes no sense. I mean, but I also think that this movie got a lot of shit for being so sloppy in its mythos. But, who gives it? They're all messy. Yeah. You know, that's the thing. It's like, I know we pick on this one, but it's like, yes, but we could also pick on 6 and 7 and 5 and 4. It's like, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess the best way to go about it, if we're trying to be like authentic, is that Jason's a legend, so everybody's like perception of him is different. Mm-hmm. But even that, it's still sloppy. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I love the idea that, like, yeah, exactly. Like, kid Jason's like scaring at the bottom of the lake when like 20 feet to the right is real Jason. Maybe it's like him projecting. Maybe he has like projecting powers.
Yeah. And then let's go on. There's the chase in the subway, which at one point Rennie and I love too, they go into the subway, out of the subway, then back into the like tunnels right after. It's like, make up your fucking mind. But while Rennie's on the subway, there's graffiti next to her head, and it says Quayshawn lives in graffiti, like just next to her head, which is clearly supposed to be like a Jason Lives kind of reference, but it's putting in a very stereotypical black name instead. So it's funny to me that they wanted to do a reference, but they needed to make it like Hood. It's like, what?
Hood. Yeah, you make a good point. I never even put those two together, that they're trying to make a Jason reference.
Yeah.
But I think the subway scene is one of my favorites in terms of just look, even though nothing really happens except for Jason like pushing a bunch of people away.
Yeah.
But that, like, when he's looking in the door on the other side of the car,
Yeah,
Oh
good visuals.
man, I love it. I love it. Yeah, we talk about like iconic Jason looking moments. I put this as one, and it kind of cuts close, like aggressively to the like a lower angle where he's like looking around. He's like checking out for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm pro subway things. I remember me and John got in a little argument on our podcast once about how I think the subway part in Predator 2 is really cool because I think subways are kind of like the boat. You can't go anywhere. It's a tight space. There's only one entrance, one exit. You know, there's not much you can do, so you just feel trapped. And I think this is a good example of that. Even Scream 6, I like that sequence as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Scream 6 kind of showcases why I kind of don't care for this scene overall, just because nothing really happened. It kind of reminds me of Predator 2, where it's like the concept is really cool.
Yeah, everybody's going to be against me. Okay, fair enough. Yes, I agree. It could be done better, but I just, in terms of Switch implications, I'm going to be a little more okay with it. But yes.
Oh, I just mean the biggest thing for me is the whole trapped. They should really be taking advantage of the whole. They are trapped with Jason and the only way to get off is between stops. Versus with this, where it's like, well, we can just do the break and then get off and then jump off.
It's a transition scene, yes, transition scene.
Yeah.
Then we get Jason being electrocuted on the third rail, which I always liked.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, I wonder like if that actually killed him for a second, being that's the only thing that could bring him back.
And then the electricity, he kills him and then also brings him back all in one go.
Brings him back, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then it goes into the famous Times Square scene. I think this is why everyone hates this movie, because this scene is so good. Everyone wants more of it, and I do agree with that. But
sure, I wouldn't fight anybody because it's the money shot.
Yep. And yeah, if this little like 15 minutes that we were in New York, if this was dragged into a full movie, it would be fucking awesome. And chances are that we would be talking about this in the same breath as Jason Lives and Part 4, but they didn't, and so it got very controversial, and so now we have to just be on our heels defending all of the things that they do in this film.
And a big thing for me is that as much as people can admit this part's cool, but it still equates to Jason Takes Manhattan as being a really lame movie, and so they will never have the balls to bring him back to a city. I think this spoil it for people, and I think that annoys me because I'm like, okay, well, fine, let's bring him back to another city and do it right. But because of this sort of stench that this has attached to it, which again we both disagree with, I truly believe they'll never take this sort of creative risk again, and that breaks my heart. I've said in every video I've ever done, put him in Chicago, or St. Louis, Missouri is a shithole. They haven't fixed that. You know, there's other cities. I mean, okay, if New York's too expensive. There's other places. Put them on the strip in Vegas. I mean, come on, dude. I don't know. I just wish we could get like more city kills again. And I just don't think they'll ever do that because it'll immediately tie back to this and they're embarrassed by this.
Vegas would be great for Jason. I would love Jason in Vegas.
Yeah, it's like Jason meets Casino. How's that not amazing?
Yeah.
You got some cool desert landscapes. We got the brightness of the strip. Go to old Vegas. Help, maybe have him start from Reno. There's all sorts of stuff we can do. Bothers me.
There's a lot of good stuff with, I don't know. I guess the only issue is then getting him there. But even then, just some security task force is trying to take him from the East Coast to the West Coast to West Coast holding facility, and
exactly
shortest route is through Vegas, and oh no,
truck turns over, he's out. There you go,
boom, got him out. And yeah, I mean this whole Times Square scene, I think everyone has talked about this scene. It's everything about it works and it's good. That's really all I have to say about it.
I'd like to mention though that at least we keep up with what I love the most is Jason busting through the door instead of using the handle. Mm-hmm. And I've said every episode, and this is, I think, being that I guess I don't remember Goes to Hell, I don't know if it's the last one. I'm hoping he busts through the door, but it's probably not because he's only in it for 4 minutes. But he busts through the door, and then we got a cool diner scene, and exactly. I don't know what else I can say because I think this has been said forever. Yeah. But I agree with everybody. It's awesome. It's cool. It has the direction I like. Jason via Kane Hodder is personable and badass. And, it works. It works. I get it.
Yep, I agree. Now, let's wrap this up with the whole toxic sludge bath that we get.
All right, I'm going to say something. Can I mind if I start?
Yeah. Oh, go.
I don't hate the idea. Is it dumb? Absolutely. But it also is it's so wacky that I love the idea that for some reason, New York floods with toxic waste every fucking night. I like that.
Yeah.
I just hate how he looks.
The look
like
is awful.
If he had a cool face and he's like going forward and like in a disintegrating, I'd be all about it. But the fact that we went Muppets, and listen, I love the Labyrinth. I love the Labyrinth. If any other movie pulled this exact thing off, I'd be like, there we go, a little Henson nod. It's dumb as shit here, and it's the worst look. And coming off Part 7's lame ending, I mean, this, I guess, is actually, I don't even know if this is better. They're equally just as dumb, and I will agree with everybody. It's stupid. I hate how he looks. You took such a cool, iconic Jason look, and you couldn't even do the face right. I don't know, man. I don't know.
His face is barely even holding together.
But they could have made it scary. It looks silly. That's my thing. It's like nobody thought for a second. Like, I guess it's supposed to be melty, but there's ways to do that in a way that isn't laughable. I guess that's my issue. Is like nobody once in the process of from design to sort of the day of shoot was like, hey, it looks like a Muppet.
Yeah. At least, I mean, I appreciate that they did the miniatures of the toxic waste coming down. Like, that looks cool.
Yeah, the toxic waste aspect is fun because it's so silly. And it would have been a cool way to do it.
Well, I never knew too that apparently Kane, the Jason spitting up water, that's not an effect. That's Kane drinking a bunch of water and vomiting on cue.
No shit, he's vomiting?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
He drank 2 to 3 gallons, they said. And then, was just vomiting on cue. Which,
well, have you seen the... Oh, sorry.
But which scene? I'm a throw upper, and that just makes me
That's a lot of water too. So it's gross.
Because but once you're at that point, you're just it does not feel good. So then the fact he has all this makeup on, all this other weight,
through the mask, not the mask, but the face is a mask. Clearly,
he gets a lot out too. I had always thought it was just a tube, like a water thing. But nope, it's not. That's Kane showing his commitment.
Well, it's because he's drowning, right? And remember the original ending? It's on the Blu-ray that there's a giant head where he's like a baby, a boy inside.
Yes.
I mean, it's been. I mean, drowning. The whole thing's stupid. Though I guess at least I could appreciate the oddness of that, but it's still just as dumb because the face looks dumb. And I got to hammer that home. I'm usually not one to hammer on effects artists because they're the people that I like the most. But this was a bad job.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And actually, us talking about this right now made me realize, oh yeah, I've done a video on Jason Takes Manhattan. Because you mentioning that, I was like, oh yeah, I used that footage in a video. And I was like, oh wait, yeah, I've talked about this whole movie in a video before.
You did a WTF, I take it, or Real Slashers?
Yes, it's a WTF. Currently sits at 188,000 views. Definitely one of my more successful ones. So definitely make sure you check that one out. I think actually Walkowski wrote this, so it's very, very well written as well.
Oh, Walkowski's a great writer.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome. So this is, I mean, that's probably why I feel like I've already talked about this movie, just because of going on the deep dive from that.
I tend to bring up anytime I love Jason about how I hate the look of this face. It's one I do punch a lot on this. I mean,
yeah, it looks terrible. And the whole going into child form, which it was apparently a studio idea. The original written ending was Jason's soul, releasing into the ether. Which
both dumb.
Yeah, both dumb. But the studio's thought is, we don't like that in case we bring him back. So have him turn into a child instead, and then
a normal looking child just hanging out. Yeah, it doesn't help.
Yeah,
it doesn't help.
But then if they had done the original ending, it would have made it the ending of Part 8 connect with Jason Goes to Hell much more, because Jason becomes this weird butt worm that possesses people and moves from body to body. So it's like, okay, the end of his body up into the soul, like it would have made sense. I'm not saying it would have been good, but it would have made sense.
It would have connected that silly ass movie with this, which, I mean, honestly, fine, whatever. Yeah. I always take these as they are. And I think I mentioned to you last episode, like Jason's endings, for the most part, are always kind of lame anyway. If you really, compared to like the Nightmare on Elm Street series. It's usually like, I guess he's gone for the most part. Not always, but for the most part. But the face, the kid, it's just lame. And it ends up being the last one that Paramount ever did. Sold it to New Line.
Yeah, this is really the end of an era because, this is going into the New Line era. And despite, I have some positive opinions about the New Line era, but it does have a very different vibe than the Paramount era.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of that has to do, besides being different companies, that the 90s were just a different time.
Yeah.
90s and 2000s. So it's like, I mean, they really didn't do much. For buying this franchise, they really kind of, pardon my French, held their dicks. Because they only made, the 2 movies and then I guess technically the remake. But those are so far apart. It's almost like they're different studios anyway for being New Line.
They essentially got it so that they could do Freddy versus Jason, and then didn't, since they were the house that Freddy built, we never got proper handling of the property, unfortunately. But
a lot of what could have been.
we're about to reach the era of that. That is now that 89, we're officially into the 90s, or for this series, we might be in the 2010s. I'm not sure where the timeline falls exactly. I think we're in the 2000s at the very least. It
has to be.
Yeah. I'll have to figure it out before this series is, you know what, by the ranking video, our ranking video, I will figure out the timeline and we will talk about it.
I'm excited. Yeah, good. I that's gonna be on you because I feel like that would frustrate me, but I assume you have fun with those kind of research.
I just assume someone else has done the work for me. Otherwise, I'll just do it. I'll do it one evening looking at the Friday the 13th Wikipedia, trying to figure out.
I guess that's a good point. I guess really just a quick Google search of timeline explain Friday the 13th would just answer all my questions. But I'm just assuming you're going to do it for me, and then we'll talk about it in a couple videos.
I'll tell you though, when you do look that up, it's a lot of people saying like, "Oh, these are the ones to watch. Oh, these are the ones." Right? Where it's like, "No, I want the actual timeline of these movies. Yes. Fuck off with this."
Yes. Tell me what to watch. Tell me what not to watch.
Yeah. All right. So, what would you rate Jason Takes Manhattan out of 4?
I mean, it's one of my favorites. It's one of the ones I go back to, as dumb as it is. I just find it a very fun, comforting movie. I'd probably say 3 or 3.5 out of 4. Honestly, I got to be honest. I'm not sure right now. It all depends. I'd have to look at my other rankings because 3.5 is high, but I also revisit it a lot, so that makes more sense. But 3 is probably more true to the movie itself. So I guess I'm going to say between those two right now. In the ranking video, I'll probably solidify my thing, but I'm going to say 3 or 3.5, depending.
Well, I think that the last 2.5 hours we have made some very good arguments as to why this is a good movie that shouldn't even require an asterisk. So I'm putting 3.5 stars. I think that this is one of the best entries that is unfortunately hampered by some unfair opinions that I think make sense, but also we are almost 35 years past this at this point. So guess what? I'm over the fact that it's not entirely taking place in New York. I like the fact that it's Jason Takes a Boat.
Yeah, it's I think we're past the era that it's really cool to make fun of this. So to me, it's almost like if you truly love 3 and 2 and hate this because it's wacky, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that hating this because it's cool to hate it at this point in life is kind of lame. So either it's not your thing, or have a good reason. But exactly, if it's not New York and I don't like the boat, it's like, well, I don't know. I don't agree with that at all, honestly.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. So I am I am very much. I think next episode might be the one I am anticipating the most outside of part 5, because I was very much excited that you and I both had positive opinions of it. But next time we are dealing with Jason Goes to Hell. I think it will be a miserable experience for both of us, but it will be a fun talk. So make sure that you tune in to the next one. Make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, leave us a review. You can get a hold of us at needlesslynostalgic@gmail.com for any suggestions, recommendations, anything like that. Or if you just want to send us a nice little email, we will always take that. But that's really all, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.